wait. Hopefully this started up.
Oh,
To
you mind if I
start it
stream
up.
as well?
Oh yeah, you can stream
Oh,
it as
you
well.
mind if I
Start it
stream
up.
as well? Yeah,
Oh
that
yeah,
way
you can stream it as well.
I'll send it to some other servers so they can watch.
Keep. I tried putting my link in Panda server, but for some reason I'm not allowed to do it, and I don't know why.
Really?
I don't know. It's weird. I'm not gonna
You might
bother about it. I'll just let it sit there.
no, you might have to you might need the role. I think it's a role you get.
Oh, okay, I see. And
I mean, I can ask.
nah, don't worry about it. Also, this is live, so now everyone knows this. But who cares? This is RambleCast because we ramble. So even though we just started, we already just started getting into a random topic. And today, I have my friend Reaps here again.
Hello.
In all honesty, I was thinking about this the other day. If my life was an RPG, Reaps would be my first party member because he's been on here the most, so he would have the most XP.
Yeah.
And if I'm correct, Feline is actually in a tie with one of my other friends who's been in here as much as he has.
Yeah, he is. He
Feline,
loves to ramble a lot about Monster Hunter, that's for sure.
oh yes, he does. I do appreciate it. I've never seen no one ramble that much. Well, actually, I've done that, but like he's on I think almost another level than me. At least typing wise, I couldn't type all that. I'm always impressed. That's
Wrote
dedication.
wrote a whole damn essay with proper punctuation in the span of like 5 seconds.
And honestly, Feline, if you're listening, you could legitimately just write a whole book about Monster Hunter, your experience with it, because you write a lot, my guy. But today, me and Reese will be just rambling about random stuff today, like at least maybe up to 3 or 4 things from each of us. I don't
Yeah.
know if you want to start first, Reeps. You want me to go?
Well, we could go with what we were just talking about, just like the commentary
Oh,
channels
okay.
and how some of them have really bad takes on things. You spend like almost
Yes.
an hour expressing your shitty take
Well, it's worse
when
when they go
really,
longer than an hour.
oh god, yeah. Well, for me, my limit is an hour and a half.
Like, I don't mind watching like long commentary videos, especially when it's like interesting, like a thing I'm into. I just don't like it when it's just to the point of just complaining the whole time, not really giving any good points, or your video has a lot of nitpicking instead of actual criticism.
Yeah, it's like they'll go into something and half the time the uh the stuff that they're talking about will have the information that they're complaining about like explicitly stated in the game. So anybody who's actually played the game or watched this film will they will already know this. So I'm assuming off gate that these commentary videos are for people that haven't like been exposed to this sort of media, haven't watched this movie, haven't played this game, so they're watching this person rant about something, and it's like, who really is this for? Who's the target audience? The people who just don't care about spoilers,
Yes,
and
but
just want to hear this person complain?
I say I've always say this, but I'm not sure if some of how I see world and stuff is based on from my experience on social media so much, but or also my experience with psychology. But I feel a lot of it is just for people who one they just don't like the thing that much, or hopefully like the good ones they have a lot to say, like actually give it fair criticism, and they really do like the product, or the product did make them at least annoyed enough that they have to make a video about criticism of it. But a lot of it's for people like, let's say, me and you, who actually do enjoy other people's opinions on certain things, especially if it's well made. But also
Yeah,
people who don't like that thing and want to only hear from people who don't like it. Like they
yeah.
refuse to listen to other people who have like different opinions.
It's like, oh, this person's like-minded, so let's just listen to this person rant and then base my opinion off of their opinion, even if their opinion is like been proven to be wrong.
Believe me, Reaps, do not. If you ever get in the comics, never ever join the Twitter, because the amount of commentary you get on people from at least Twitter and YouTube of so-called comic book commentators, a lot of it is sucking the dick of Japan. Even though I love
Oh,
Japanese manga, don't get me wrong, I appreciate both mediums very much. I have just a collection of both, but to the point of saying we want this industry to die, and I'm like, man,
what?
guys, you don't see.
Man,
I see that a lot. You'd be
I
surprised.
I don't I follow very specific channels on Twitter.
I've
You know
well,
you
like,
know the but
yeah.
I haven't been exposed to that sort of stuff yet.
Well,
Yeah.
like I said earlier before we started this, I did have muted or unfollowed a lot of people who were part of that crowd, and I don't
Yeah.
respect them. Even I'm gonna say this right now. If like somehow anyone who's a mutual of mine who sees this, yeah, I'm sorry. If you do agree with those statements, I don't. Sorry, I will be honest. I mentally, I think you're an idiot a little bit because that's just saying, hey, that's just like I've even said this on Twitter a couple times. People who say that, who say, "Oh, well, DC Marvel's gonna die, the comic industry is gonna die," they sound like the people who used to shit on manga a lot. Those people still exist, but it used to be it used to before manga became popular. There was people who was like the manga. Who reads this? This is weird. Why am I reading this? Like why are you gonna read wrong? Like
They were the people that were saying like, "Oh, well, anime is for like weebs," but now they're the weebs, and now it's okay.
anime and mangas became mainstream now. So, but they listen to these like you say commentators who really do a lot of these for clickbait, obviously, but also they just do it because they want to give negativity all the time. Like I've never really seen them give positivity or be like, "Hey, read this comic that's currently come out. This is pretty interesting." No, I don't see those videos really. I really mostly just see negativity all the time.
Yeah, just them nitpicking about just random stuff that you either don't think about or have common sense enough to just be like, "Oh, well, okay."
And mind
Because I
you,
feel like
yeah,
some of these people just lack common sense. Like, you ever get the person that just doesn't really get it?
Reeps,
And I,
we've both been on
it,
Discord, Reeps. You know we've met those people.
yeah, it's like they have this. They don't understand like the overall message of something, or they haven't actually experienced it themselves to really get it. So they'll have a strong opinion about it, and then try to be like, oh well, it's shit in general. It's like, no, you just didn't really get the message apparently. But I didn't think you'd have to explain it to them, but apparently you do.
Like it's a lot of
Because
times you see that.
and they're often the vocal. They're very vocal about it too.
Like I give dedication that they're so out there about what they want to say, but as I've learned, and I think a lot of people do sometimes need to learn this, is free speech is not free from consequences. As in, other people can criticize you if they don't agree with your opinion.
That's a thing that people need to get. Is like free speech isn't so free if you really want to. I mean, other people will have free speech too, and they can use that shit against you.
Yeah,
Just because you have free speech doesn't mean that you're exempt from any other person's criticism.
yeah. It's funny because I say that I already know there are people who would say, "Oh, well, no, well, of course we understand that." And I'm like, some of you guys, I've seen people like you who say that. You guys will do the opposite and be hypocrites. Because it's like if we
Yeah,
say that, they'll turn around and do something the opposite of what they said.
it happens so much. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've done that too.
I've
I
fallen
don't.
into that, but I usually be like,
Yeah,
go back and like if I made a tweet or retweeted something, I'm like, wait, that was dumb. Let me get rid of this.
yeah. Like nobody's perfect. Lord knows I've said a lot of stupid shit, but I mean, I'll go back. I mean, hell, I've even been proven wrong on a lot of occasions. Hell, I had a I remember all the way back in like pre-college days. I'm still a super big Metroid fan, but I remember getting into this whole like theory thing with Metroid stuff, and this guy was just like, dude, they stated like on the site, you don't have to like have theories on this. And I was trying my best to prove him wrong. And then I looked on the site and it was exactly as he said, and I felt like a stupid person.
At
But if
least
I go back, I
you
would go
own
back
up
and
to
change
it.
stuff. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, but some people just they let pride get in the way and they don't want to own up to it.
Like I remember, like there's one commentator that because I follow this one guy. He recently brought him up because he made a video about Berserk. I'm like, why you should read the Berserk manga, which is fair. Like, of course, like I read the Berserk manga,
I've
but
heard good things about it.
oh yeah, it's great. You have to get past all the fucked up stuff, but it's good. I mean, get past as in the whole book is that, but
People getting like raped and eviscerated and
do you know
kids
I tried
probably
talking to a
dying
guy
and
about that, like how because he was shitting on Goblin Slayer because of the first, the first thing that happens in the first episode slash chapter of the series, is saying how
Mhm.
bad that was. And I'm like, I can get it to a degree, yeah, but it's to show how fucked up the world is. But I brought up
Like
how Berserk does that. It had it's not a ton of it in there. Like so far since I've read it, it only happened maybe twice. No, it happened once, and the second time it was attempted, but the guy was killed before anything happened. But the guy was kind of like the guy I talked to about it. Kind of was still almost like criticizing, saying, "Well, it's bad if it's in there anyway." And I'm like,
I mean, okay, so here's the thing. I don't like it either. I don't. I've never liked it. I've always
yeah,
not liked it in movies and stuff. But what I will say, if it serves a purpose and it adds to the plot, if it serves a purpose to show the viewer to because they're designed to make the person, they're not made just because they're made to serve a purpose to make the viewer feel a certain way,
like if you're
to
just doing it to
feel for
do
the
it, that's when
character.
it's like that's fucked up. Why
If
would
you
you
do
do
it just to
that?
do it, then it's just porn. I mean, I'm just saying. But if it serves that purpose, then I had I was talking to a guy back then that had that sort of mentality where he was like saying he outright told me, he says, if you don't like rape in movies, then petition to get it removed from all movies. I was like, well, that would kind of harm the creative freedom of the person who's like the writer. And like I can't say that, oh, they need to just take it out or censor it if I disagree with it. If it serves a purpose, then yeah, so what? It makes me feel uncomfortable. Yeah, I don't really like seeing it, but I'm not going to be like, well, because I don't feel good about it, it should be removed.
I think for me, when it comes to manga, I think I've just been desensitized after reading Berserk, and I'm just like, eh.
Yeah, Berserk, I heard, has that effect on people. You're not the first. There's another guy I know, artist. He's been trying to get me to read Berserk,
Oh
even though I
wait,
told him, I was just like, yeah, the rape scenes is kind of struck a chord with me. He
wait,
was just like,
I
oh,
blocked one out of my head. I forgot there actually were three. I forgot about the one that started the whole Griffith did nothing wrong trend. Oh fuck, why did I forget that? Now
well,
I need to forget it.
there are people that actually believe that,
I know, Reeps. I
no matter
know.
how much proof you could give them. Now, granted,
If
I
you come
don't
in
know the
here and
full
try,
story.
oh, okay, I'm about to say,
I
Reeps. I
don't know the
swear to,
full story because I haven't. No, 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 no,
I'm
no. I'm
about to,
not
I
playing the devil's
swear to
advocate.
God, I will.
I've seen the scene. I've seen the scene but I don't have any context, so I wouldn't really have a strong like
Yeah,
stance on it because I haven't actually read the book or seen the movie.
yeah.
I still do like pissing people off by saying like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna watch the 3D movie in English."
Actually,
It's
I think I did. It was fine. Nothing
I
was
hear
real.
it's horrible.
Well,
Like,
I've read the manga and read and watched the movie afterwards. It's not like the best, but I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, this is terrible. Like, actually, like that movie. Actually, if I'm correct, I'm not sure if he's here or not, but like that movie is what got one of my friends to really give anime more of a try because he realized, oh my god, there's a lot more to anime than I thought there was. Because he only did like he watched like shows like Dragon Ball growing up, and then Berserk was his first kind of like notion of this is a lot different compared to
this
Dragon
shit
Ball.
hit different.
Yeah, it really did for him. So I'm like, so that's a very for him, and for me that was like just looking at those scenes and then looking at like watching a couple videos about Berserk. I'm like, let me give this a shot, and I watched the movie and I'm just like, that's fine. But also I'm someone who don't really care about the dub sub stuff. I'm just like, watch whatever you want, man.
That's kind of where I'm at. I've gotten shit on because of that too. It's like, oh,
If
you watch the dub. I'm
if
like,
they shit
well,
on you, they're a gatekeeper and they're not fun and they're not good.
it's just like, I don't. want to fucking read all the time. I mean, I will if I don't have a choice.
Well, the thing
Like,
people forget is people have certain things like ADHD, ADD, dialects. I'm not sure,
dyslexia.
but yeah, okay, thank you for saying it.
Hmm.
And people don't take that into account like at all. They don't take like people who might have attention issues or people who have trouble reading sometimes. Like they don't take that into account, which I don't understand.
And if you try to explain that to them, they'll just like taunt you about it or
I,
patronize you.
how would they even taunt you
Like,
about it? They taunt you about it. That sounds like the same person who just probably kick their own grandmother.
yeah, I mean, I've been in conversations with that where I would literally tell them I'm a slow reader. I'm just a slow reader.
Yeah,
If they, I want to. If the worst culprits are the action scenes where they're having a fucking conversation while they're fighting. I want to see the fight. I don't want to read. I just want to understand what's being said as they're fighting. And if they have a whole paragraph of text while they're flying through the air at like supersonic speeds and going through buildings, I'm just like, I'm not gonna read that. I'm
yeah.
watching the fight. I'm not reading this. I can't do
I've met
both.
people who said that they're like I can't. It's hard for me to do that. It's hard for me to focus on the fight and then like read at the same time. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. It's like because there's multiple things going on.
But then yeah, the purists out there that just want to be like, oh well, no, you gotta just learn. Why the fuck do I learn? Why do I have to learn? It's a form of media. I should be able to just be entertained, not have to learn it to like
I don't even know how you
fully
could.
enjoy
I
it.
don't even know how you would learn that. Like, how would you get your brain to fix itself like that?
Just read really fast while you're at home alone.
Because like even though I can read, read a little bit faster than I used to, I still have trouble because I read too fast right up to the point where like, wait, did I miss something? Let me go back.
Oh, you do that too? I do that.
Yeah.
Just like, oh well, I think I skipped over something actually. I'm at the end of the sentence, but I guess. Or have you ever had to reread some like a sentence twice just to? It's like just because the sentence is structured correctly, but it still is weird when you read it. So you have to read it over.
Hmm. Yeah, it's just I've mostly did it since I've told people this, like everyone should know this by now. Like I became more of a manga reader than anime watcher. So I do that a lot when I read manga where I'm like, wait, I think I missed something. Let me go back to that
Have you
page.
become a Giga Chad, the average manga reader?
Maybe. I mean, I always suggest people read the manga like before they watch the anime, or at least give the manga a chance if they want it, or how they're like, well, if you don't want to wait a season, just start reading the manga.
Yeah,
And I could understand
because
if you have dyslexia and stuff like that, and you can't. Then like at that point, it's like, then you might as well just wait. Then sorry, like I get it though.
yeah, and it's just like yeah. Also, the manga, from what I've seen, typically like has like a different kind of style. Events unfold differently than some mangas.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of stuck to manga because I don't like that. I'd much rather see the artist's original vision in the manga compared to like I don't mind if they do like what some anime does, where they do filler within the canon, like they add more to the story of in the canon. Like you're watching a canon episode, but there's a little bit filler in here to add a little bit more to it. It's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Like
Yeah.
more lore in a way. But I don't like it when it's like Naruto or
Didn't Dragon Ball Z Super have like a better manga than the when the show first
it's a
aired?
toss up
It's a toss up.
because the Goku Black Arc I think was better, but it had still the worst ending. Like
I
both
honestly forgot
anime, huh?
I honestly forgot what happened. I think I remember Zoromusu having a bunch of faces in the sky, and that's literally all I
I'm
remember
gonna tell you right now.
about the ending.
You said his name
Oh,
wrong.
and
It's
Trunks like cutting him in half.
yes. I'm gonna say right now. You said it wrong because it's Zamasu. Zoromasu.
Zoromusu.
What the? But no, he. I don't remember. I don't remember quite the manga ending, but I'm correct. It did end the same way, but the manga was a little bit more interesting with it, and it was it. It also didn't have like Trunks' random super form from what I can remember, because in the anime he got that, and you're like, what is that? And we never got an explanation for that. So I'm happy to, if I'm correct, like I said, I haven't read it in a long time, so from my memory, hopefully it didn't do that either. Which I'm like, good, because I don't like the fact we never got an explanation on what that power boost was. At least the god forms and even Ultra Instinct got an explanation. Like that one did not.
I think from what I remember hearing was that he was around Goku and Vegeta, and some of their God Ki got absorbed by him or some
I
weird shit
think
like
that was like
that.
a theory, but I don't remember if that was like ever really
Like
told,
explicitly stated, yeah.
because that felt like that was more of a hit canon or theory. Because even then, it still never made sense to me. But the super manga, yeah, that's a toss up. Kingen Omega. I watched the anime first. I'm like, oh, this anime is really good, really good. And then a year or two later, like recently, actually, it was last year I started. I started reading the manga. I'm like, oh, let me read the manga because I'm not sure what anime is ever gonna come back. So I started reading it, and I was like, oh my god, they skipped not only two fights at the beginning. They legitimately cut out fights. They also cut out two characters who are
That
important to the lore, to the story.
sucks.
Like they cut out legitimately
Uh,
two characters who become important to the story, and I'm like, why? Who? Wh-
if you do that, then there's gonna be gaps and where things just don't make sense.
well, they make it so at least the anime will make sense to it. Hopefully, I'm not sure what season 2 is gonna look like because, like I said, like I don't know why they cut two characters out, which is, like I said, stupid. And then, or you're gonna have situations where the anime catches up to the manga, so they decide to do something different. Like they did that with Full Metal Alchemist, and Blue Exorcist. They also happen.
Have you ever seen a channel called Caleb City?
Yeah, I have.
He did a parody of this very like thing where he was like one of the the artists or the writers, and he was saying, I'm done with the
Oh,
manga.
I see what you're
I'm done
talking
with the
about.
manga. And the companies were like, well, what if we made an anime and we just changed all this? He's like, dude, I literally have like the skeleton of it. You just have to turn it into an anime. You don't have to change anything. I have the whole story right here. Don't alter anything. And they did it anyway. I don't know how often. I don't read a lot of manga, so that's one problem. But I don't know how often that
It
happens.
happens
Like,
more than you think. Like it's surprising how I've seen it happen. Like at least like I think it's not as bad as it used to be, but sometimes when it hits. It's like, oh, I read that manga. That's not that. Like that's why a lot of people were complaining about. Well, there was a lot of reasons people were complaining about like the last season of My Hero, is because one, they cut out two. Like some people, like there's people who are like, oh well, who cares about the stuff cut out? And but the things that were cut out, like even though they're like dialogue, the dialogue's important to the story. Like that character you
yeah,
cut out, who's very small, like yeah, you could say he's insignificant. It's still somewhat important to the overall story in some way. Like you can't just be like, oh well, who cares? And also they flipped two arcs. Like you were supposed to get to, like you got like a training arc where like the two classes fought each other, and then you got the My Villain arc, which was one of the best arcs in, like I say, out all the arcs so far. I think that is number two. That might be still number one until the manga ends for me, because it was like you got to see the villains became the main characters for a whole arc. You never saw them heroes at all during that whole arc. Maybe until at the beginning or at the end, or in flashbacks or something like that. Like that was
yeah.
interesting. And they, instead of keeping it like that, they flipped it. They were like, "Well, we're not going to do that yet. We're gonna save that to the end of the season." And people did not like that. There were people who were upset about that.
What? What a way to piss off fans.
It's like, think about being a manga reading, being hyped, like, "Oh man, we got done with that class stuff. Like, oh, we got to get the villain stuff." It's like, "Oh, we're doing that arc that happened after the villain arc first before we do this one." You're like, "What?"
Bitch, what?
And if I'm
Oh
correct,
god.
that the arc that they replaced with happens, I think, after the villain arc. So I don't like, and I might be wrong, but it still was weird. It's like, why do that? Just keep the villain arc going. Like,
Did they okay, the arc that happens after, or what are they trying to do? Are they trying to
I don't
rearrange it in
know.
terms of like change the? Because wouldn't they have it?
Well, things are
Damn it!
pretty chill. Well, the Vibe villain arc happened, but it didn't affect the main story until like the arc after the like until like an arc later. Well, like an arc later, as in we got the villain arc, and then we got one arc, and then all the shit hit the fan arc.
Oh the shit!
Like, I'll tell you right now, as a manga reader, we were just getting beat up during it was 2021, where me and my friend talked about it. All the manga we were reading, everything was popping off. It felt like every manga, like all the mangas decided, like, hey, how about we make this year like 20? I think if I'm correct, it was 2021 or 2022, where it's just the year of manga pops offs because Black Clover shit hit the fan. Jujutsu Kaisen, oh my god, I read up to that. That was crazy. And then My Hero started, and then One Piece was still going on at the time. So it was just like a lot of manga where just go wild things were happening.
Jujutsu Kaisen actually does sound pretty interesting.
Well, Jujutsu Kaisen fucking hits.
Okay,
If you like
so
Yu Yu Hakusho or Bleach, I suggest Jujutsu Kaisen.
I do like both of
And they
those.
do make references to those series. Because if I'm correct, actually, I know what's the name, the mangaka who Gege. He's the one who wrote Jujutsu Kaisen. He actually did an interview with the guy Kubo who did Bleach, and they both like each other's stuff.
Damn.
Because yeah, I mean, Jujutsu Kaisen is like when you read it, you're like, oh, okay, I can see some influence there and there from the series.
So to be clear, Jujutsu Kaisen, is that the one with the red haired guy with the demon on his back, demon face on his back?
Well, it's on his like face, but yeah, actually, well, two things. One, he's pink hair, and then the demon's more on his face really than anything else. But even then, it's not like the demon can go any other part of his body. It's like it's in him. It's like in him physically and mentally. As in,
Oh no, I got it wrong. I got another anime I'm thinking of.
I don't know which one you're talking about.
I've seen Jujutsu Kaisen. Yeah.
I'm not even sure what the one you're talking about is.
Okay. Let me see if I can.
Like a red hair guy that's a manga I'm reading right now, but I'm not sure if that's the same one. Cause you said on his back, and I'm like, it's not really on his back, so I don't.
I'm looking it up. It's another. It's a pretty brutal anime actually. Red-haired dude. What the heck is that freaking thing's that anime's name? It'll come to me.
I don't. I don't remember.
Yeah, it'll come to me. But as soon as I remember it, I'll definitely. Let's see.
I'm trying to think. I don't. I got nothing. I got nothing. I don't remember. Right now, I probably will see image and think, oh, I know what you're talking about. But right now, I got nothing. But
well, it's an anime where the guy, his father is like a. I mean, he's like a bad dude, but he gets his mother pregnant and everything, and next thing you know, this guy is like killing everybody because he wants a challenge, and he ends up killing like the main character's friend and tells him that, like, he's weak, and he beats up the main character a lot, and the main character is just like, I guess, trying to get to his level, but his father is so freaking strong.
Are you talking about Baki?
That might be it.
Because that's Baki, and he's got demon on his back. The dad has. Well, actually, no, I forgot the son started forming one. Never mind, I forgot his son Baki started forming a demon on his back. But it's not like a real demon. It just has like a. It's just when he see his muscles.
When he flexes.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's a demon. Yeah, you're talking about Baki. Okay, yeah.
That's the one.
I don't remember him killing his best friend, but I remember him. But I remember his dad beating his ass a lot. And his dad, it makes.
I remember his dad beating his ass.
Yeah. Baki's dad makes no goddamn sense as a character. Because you see everyone else and you see him, you're like, Baki, well, you have to keep fighting forever if you want to get to his level. Because there's a part in, like, I'm not sure if you watched, like, the old like, I'm sure, I think it was 90s when it came out, but that motherfucker, like, when he, Baki, of course, didn't win the fight when he first decided to fight his dad. He got his ass brutally beat. But, his dad punched the ground and made a small, tiny earthquake.
Yeah.
And it's like,
There was an earthquake that was going on, so he punched the
oh,
ground. He
yeah.
canceled
Yeah,
out
I
the
reversed it.
earthquake,
I
and
reversed it, yeah.
he was just like, "Oh well, we're not gonna have any distractions." It's like,
And you're like,
what kind of strength is this?
you're like, Baki, you're not gonna win. And obviously he didn't, but it's just like, you see
Bro,
that, and you're like, Bucky, it's gonna
give
take
up.
you forever. You're probably not gonna be at your dad's level until probably you're at the age your dad is right now. Even then, you might not, because your dad keeps getting stronger.
Well, there's just bitch slapped Mother Earth and told her, "No, you better not fight this man."
Well, like, for goodness sake, he's feared around the world. Like, if he walked in the White House, they're like, we can't do anything. Just let him walk in here. And it's just,
he oh my god, yeah, that's one anime I actually have to finish. I had started it a while back, but I gotta finish it
I
because
remember
I'm
watching
starting
the
to see
Netflix version.
a resurgence of it. People are, I guess, now just finding it. I don't know.
Oh, it's because of I'm not sure if you know him, like the exercise guy, Jax. Like you might know who I'm talking about. Like the exercise guy who teaches you how to like exercise, but like from different manga and comics. Like, hey, you want to be like them? Like, you have to exercise like
I
this, probably.
think I don't. It sounds familiar.
Oh God, I don't remember.
I just picture a really big buff dude with an anime shirt on telling
I
you
mean,
how
that
to
is him.
exercise like Goku.
Yeah, no, really, that is him.
Is that I got it on the nose?
Yes, you actually did. Like, he's a big buff black dude.
I think I have seen him. Yeah,
Also, he's very wholesome. I give him a lot of credit for that.
they often are. I don't think I've ever seen like a super toxic like workout channel, because I guess the whole thing is just to keep in good spirits to make you just want to keep trying to
I
push
mean,
your limits.
they probably
Could you
are, but they're
imagine?
probably not that liked.
Yeah. Imagine Vegeta training you.
I mean, you might still exercise. If it's like,
Yeah.
I say the Vegeta at the end of Z, or at least Super Vegeta, you probably will train better. Because he's at least angry, but he's somewhat a weird, angry middle bit of chill, where it's like,
He's Shadow the Hedgehog.
he'll scold you horribly, he'll make you feel bad, but you'll feel good because you are working out. And he will give some pride to you and make you feel good about yourself.
Following Goku's routine, you'd probably get a heart attack because he'd be like, "I want you to eat all of this food in like the span of like 3 seconds."
I found it. It was Jack's Blade. I'm not sure.
Jack's Blode. That
No,
sounds.
Blade.
Oh, Jack's Blade. I heard something else.
I don't know what you heard, but okay.
I heard something else.
Yeah, but no, that man's funny. I like his videos.
I should check out his channel. I do need a new like workout routine.
Mind you,
I've
not
only
been
just been
working
doing
out.
cardio.
Mind you, I've not been working out. I've just been lifting a weight. But other than that, I keep his videos around because I'm just like, oh, he's interesting.
Yeah.
Also, he's the reason why I even got into King and Omega, King and Nashor, because I'm like, oh, cool.
I don't know how you know what a good like content creator is if they can get people into stuff that like normally wouldn't do that kind of thing.
That happened a
I know
couple
a lot of
times.
people it just doesn't work out. A prime example is Maximilian Dude. That guy. Now I don't really play a lot of fighting games, but I will say that guy is really into his craft, and he's got it so down packed to where he could just get. It's like he can get anybody who's not into fighting games to play fighting games. That's just how passionate he is about it.
I mean, if you're a passionate person who gives a lot into your craft and you care and you obviously care about it, it's like
Yeah.
it will rub off on other people. Like, even if you might never play it, you'll still at least maybe watch competition from here to that from time to time, or even watch his
Yeah.
videos.
Like I got into what was it? Street Fighter Street Fighter because of him. Back then, I only played it as a kid and started watching a few of his videos, watching some of his like gameplay and just commentary and stuff. And I was like, I kind of want to play this game now. The way he's explaining is very simple, and I kind of want to get into it. He's a really wholesome dude.
Yeah, I mean
You don't really get that very often.
yeah,
It
not really,
seems.
not as much as you used to. I do
Yeah, back
remember
then
the
it was
best.
easier.
I do remember the best friends back before they broke up. They played Yakuza, and I'm like, I keep hearing a lot of that Yakuza, and this game looks pretty interesting. I watched Yakuza 4, play Yakuza 4. Years later, I watched him play Yakuza 0. I'm like, you know what? Yakuza 6 coming out? Let me try this out. And I'm like, holy shit, this game is amazing. Oh my god. I
Not
enjoyed
gonna
the
lie,
videos and actually playing them like, oh, this is fun.
I thought Yakuza was just Japanese Grand Theft Auto because it just seems like it would be. But from what I've seen, it has so much personality. Like that whole franchise seems to have so much personality. It is very comical moments. It has very sad moments. And this is coming from a guy who hasn't actually played the game. I've only seen like little snippets of the cutscenes, but those cutscenes are really impactful.
Oh man, like
And
especially the last game. The last game actually almost made me tear up with the ending of it. I was just like, oh shit, oh he's getting
I,
to me here.
if it's that impactful for a person who hasn't played any of the games, I can only imagine how impactful it must be when you actually have the context, like the full context of what's going on.
Yes, I would recommend the games to anyone. Even though from what I could tell they're switching up gameplay wise, I still recommend people giving it a shot because at least play it for not only the side story content, but the main story content.
Yeah.
I would say don't play the current one, don't play the one that just came out yet. Play the other ones first. So when you get to one the bosses in the seventh one, the impact will feel even bigger. You're like, oh shit, he's gonna kick my ass, isn't he? Because the impactful
Shoot.
like that. I always like games where they do something like that, where unless you have a main character for one game, and then later on you become the main character, and then you meet up with the old main character, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna fight him, cool," and they have all the skills from all the games. You're like, "Oh no, they're gonna kick my
You're like,
ass."
oh no. I
Like
can
I remember breaking people's back with that movie. Now he's gonna break my back.
you remember there was one I've seen that the guy threw the dude off a bridge. It was a heat move, I think it was called. He
Oh yeah,
throws the guy off the bridge, and
and
the
he
guy
falls on a
lands like
boat.
crotch first onto the boat.
No, I think it was. No, wasn't it ass first? Like he hit like the pole, like his butt hit the pole of it.
Oh yeah, he did. I guess I just thought he fell on his balls, and that just sounded funnier in my head when I thought about it that way. It's still very painful,
I
or
think,
him putting nails in your mouth and
yeah.
punching you.
I think the worst
Jesus.
heat moves, like worse in the sense of you feel that, is when it's like super realistic, where you're like, oh no, yeah, if someone threw me on that, I feel that because that would
Yeah.
hurt. Like I remember one heat move, he threw someone on like the rack of where bicycles are, like bicycle rack. I don't know why I said a word bike rack and a bicycle rack, and the metal bars of that, and the way he did it, I was like, oh, that makes me hurt. Like every time
Yeah.
I did it, I was like, "That's so cool," but I feel it because it looks so painful.
And they'll show blood, but it's like very small.
Yeah,
But it's still just, I feel like I feel like showing blood would take away from it somehow in a really weird way. It would actually take away from the pain. Just seeing them get punched, and you see like spit coming out of their face. You don't show blood, but you just show the spit coming out of their face as you just punch the shit out of them.
I
It's
kind of
just
get
so
it. I kind of get why
like
they
I
have
feel
blood
it.
though, because you're breaking internal organs with some of your moves.
Yeah.
But canon-wise, Kiryu has never killed anyone, and that's not a joke. He has never. I think in an interview, because I always thought that was a joke, but I think in an interview the guy's like, "Oh, Kiryu's never killed anyone," even though one game he literally shot down a helicopter that exploded, but apparently they did not die.
Oh my god.
We never saw their bodies, but apparently they didn't die.
I watched I watched a playthrough of it, and I saw there was the thing that kind of made me see what kind of game it really was is when I saw a gameplay of, I think it was Kiryu. It must have been Kiryu. It was Kiryu shooting at tigers with a rocket launcher. That's when I realized that it was not the kind of game that I thought it was.
I mean, once you hit to the point of punching a tiger, you're like, yep, we've just run off the
Yeah,
rails.
he punched the tiger too.
Like we've just gone that far. We've hit on the rails.
For a
This is
guy
where we
that's
are.
never killed anybody, he looks pissed off like all the time.
And honestly, that's just his face. Like
He's like
he smiles, but he barely smiles.
he's got the resting Mitch face.
Yes. He's
Just
a good
everybody
character,
thinks
though.
he's angry all the time, but his face is just molded into like a scold.
The one thing I get like the one thing about Yakuza games is the fact that no matter what, you could just be walking down the street and like for some reason in the universe of Japan and Yakuza, you could just be walking down the street and someone wants to fight you for just looking and just for walking in the direction. And I'm like, why
You
fight
look
me?
mad.
Well, like I never get that in Yakuza games. Like that's the one thing, but it's funny every time it happens because I'm like, yeah, these people are being stupid. Of when they just be like, oh, old man, whatever, you bumped into me, you owe me money for because you hurt my arm, and I'm just like, God, he's gonna actually break your arm. You're
Yeah.
actually going to have to ask for money because he will actually break your arm now.
You don't realize how like muscular he really is until he takes off his shirt. Like he's got some muscles under that damn suit.
I would say that's the only time you can really tell when it's the final boss of a game of the games is when the shirt gets removed. You're like, oh, okay, we're at the end.
They show the symbol.
And I find that good because it like if it was like I say if it was like maybe more of a I don't know what term to use. I don't want to say basic because basic sounds stupid, but like a not well thought out game maybe he would just do it a lot more in the game and it'll lose impact in it maybe.
It would just be like there just to show like, oh, I'm
Yeah,
getting serious, but showing it very
like at the end of the game,
like
like the final boss.
showing it at the end of the game, it has more punch instead of it just being like, oh, it's just there. Like, oh, well, I get serious, so I'm just gonna show this.
Like when he removes it, you're like, oh, here we go, final
There's
boss.
been some games that have kind of done that too. This is gonna be a weird example, but if you played oh god, this is a really weird example. Fatal Frame 3. You spend a lot of the section. No, not Fatal Frame. Shit, what am I saying? Clock Tower. Clock Tower 3. You
I didn't know
spend
there was a
the
third
first
one.
you spend the sections running from the person, and next thing you know you get to the main point, or you get to a certain point in there, and then you get these powers, which an arrow comes from heaven. But I mean, it happens with every single one and becomes kind of like formulaic
Mm-hmm.
to the point where it's just like it doesn't have any impact at the end. You're just like, oh well, I'm just gonna keep. You get to the next area, you're like, oh, I'm gonna run from this next killer until I can. It just becomes a race to the ultimate weapon to kill each killer you get through. It doesn't have any impact. But with Yakuza, it seems like they just withhold it all the way to the end, and then when it comes, it's just like, holy shit, he's actually serious. You know?
Yeah. Like this is the final fight that will end everything. Like I need
Yeah.
this is no hold bars now.
Another game I actually need to play is Metal Gear Solid Rising.
That's hard to get. You're gonna have to emulate that one because that's like if I'm correct, that's not even on Steam anymore.
Is it not?
It got like delisted. I can't remember. It got delisted from a lot of places, and I can't remember why. Something happened, and it was like we can't have it anymore. I might be wrong. It might be on Steam still, but I remember it getting delisted from places.
It had like a discount like about a month ago, I think.
Okay, maybe it didn't get delisted from there. Maybe it got delisted from other places then. But I remember like people being upset because it got delisted from places. If it's
Are
still in,
people just now getting to that game? Because I've been seeing so
well,
many
this
memes
happened.
with all these characters.
I don't know, but I remember that happened like a couple years back though, like back in maybe 2020 or 2019, I think when that happened. So, but actually, I'm not sure if people get
I don't know. Maybe
into it now. I haven't really seen anything, at
if I
least on
had
my
if I
feed.
had to if I had to gander, was it when Trump was still president?
No,
Because
no,
there was a
no, no.
"Make America Great Again" line in
No, it
there, and
was
they
actually like
probably like,
real,
oh,
like I think legal reasons, like why it got
huh.
legalisted from places. I can't remember though.
It
Like,
wouldn't. It's not that it like offended a country, huh?
no, I don't remember that. It was just like, it was like a real, like somewhat legal reason. It was I can't like I said I can't remember because it was so long ago when it happened. And even then I was like, wow, that sucks. I already have it on my Steam, so who I don't I'm good. I got it before it happened. That does suck. That does suck when a game you want to play gets delisted. Or in Nintendo case, they hold it there for like what was it, 2 years maybe or a year of the Mario collection games they had. He's like, oh, we're not gonna keep it here forever, so but we're gonna get rid of it at this certain point. So if you don't get it by then, sorry. And I was just like, what the fuck, Nintendo?
It's a real
Maybe,
shame.
yeah. He also they were selling it for fucking almost $60, and I was like, I don't like Mario that much, and I only want Mario Galaxy, and you're selling this for almost $60. I don't want to spend that much money for a game, only one game I really want. What again? If you sold it
Uh,
today, it would still be $60, and you would never drop the price.
Apparently, Nintendo doesn't like going down on their prices for anything.
I really don't. Even when like the sales happen, it's only not that it's not even that big of a significance in the sale. And I'm like, this is why people buy your games used from GameStop and places because at least there's the high chance it's gonna be cheaper.
That always pissed me off because they would resell their games on each console. You'd get like five different versions on it's the same game, but it's just on different consoles. So they'll come out with it on the GameCube, then they'll come out with it again on the Wii, then they'll come out with it again on the Wii U, then they'll come out with the same game again on the eShop
I
for the Switch, and it's just like,
I
dude,
will
what?
say I do understand that to a certain degree because I think as recent years have shown, keeping preserving games kind of is important now because a lot of companies are not caring as much. So I think it's good when the games do move to other platforms. I just don't think it's good when they're sold at the same price though.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like if they're moved to different platforms, you get a new generation of people, of people, kids. They're not people, right? No, you get a new generation of people that play games that just get the thing, and it's just like, okay, yeah, let them experience the same joy that you did when you first played it. Um, but don't sell it for full price. I mean, really, don't do it at full price.
At least sell it
You're
for
gonna
like not sell don't sell it for like 60, 40, 30. Still a little
Yeah,
crazy, but still is better than like $60 or $50.
and the whole value thing, I feel like with value, I feel like that's more attributed to like the individual, how much value you get out of it. Because there could be some games nowadays that people find very like they'll find a lot of value in. It's just them not wanting to go down on the price. I feel like if you got a game nowadays, say 20 years in the future, you know how say it's a first person shooter or something unique. Well,
Yeah.
Returnal. There we go. We'll go with Returnal. Say you get Returnal and you sell that game for 60, and then normally the game would be having like a discount, like 50% off or something down the road.
Yeah.
Uh, but say they don't do that. Say they keep that game at $60. Uh, would people still argue that there's value in that game if the price didn't decrease? Because that's the big question.
There would be that vocal minority who
Because
would still say yes, even though I'm like
I
no.
yeah, I feel like it's up to the company, but I think people attribute value to the price of the game rather than the content of the game. Because there's a lot of old games that have bugs and problems in them too. There's a lot of old games that are dated,
Well, that's
but you
why
go
I
back to them and
that's why I
it's
do
just for
enjoy when they
nostalgia.
do HD remakes or collections, because they usually, okay, I shouldn't say usually, just when they give it, when the right company or they really care about it, they will make sure it's good. Like they'll be like, okay, yeah, we did fix these bugs, we did fix these problems. Like you still might find bugs here and there, but nowhere compared to when you first played it. You're like, okay, yeah, this is a better experience now.
Yeah.
I guess, I mean,
Well,
that also that's the best way to get more people to try it again, or people to play it now.
uh, Final Fantasy 12 Zodiac Age was a good example, I think. If you played the original, oh my god, that game was a slog. I tried my best to get into it. It was like it presented itself like an MMO, but single player, you know?
Yeah,
And the combat felt like an MMO. It had auto battle, it had different kinds of thing. It just felt like an MMO, but it was just a single player experience. Now I'm not sure if that was what they were going for, because
like
11 was an MMO,
I'm not sure because I haven't seen I haven't really watched a lot of interviews since then.
but
So
when Zodiac Age came out, they made some pretty significant changes. They still kept like the battle system the way that it was,
yeah,
but they added
that'd be
in
a real actual overhaul. That would just they would have to probably build the game from the ground up if they had to do that.
yeah, but instead they added in new features like turbo mode, where at the press of a button you could speed up the time that you attack. You could speed up. Basically, it's just if you're playing an emulator, the turbo mode just speeds up the game, so you run faster and everything just moves faster. But that actually made a big impact in a game like that because the world was so dang big. It was huge. And it felt like it took forever to get from one point to the other. So adding in a turbo mode kind of alleviated that. And for combat, if you were just trying to grind and do things faster, turbo mode helped with that. You could even increase how much, like the multiplier of how much you wanted the mode to speed up. You went 2 times, 4 times. Uh, but yeah, just little stuff like that. And they even took it a step further with the job system. From what I remember, they limited the job system so each character would only have 2 main jobs that they could have like skill trees in, instead of all the characters having all of them.
Hmm.
Now I know that seems like a step down, but for me it just kind of gave me, I don't know, for me it gave me more incentive to really think about the jobs instead of just like, oh well, this ability's cool in this character. And they even changed some of the stats on some of the heavy, like the in-game weapons around. They really did like fix a lot of stuff with that game. And that was the real, honestly, the Zodiac Age is really the only reason I finished that game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Because if I
sometimes
played the original, ugh,
yeah, sometimes a remaster or something can really help improve a game a lot.
yeah.
Like I said, but if it's done well, if it's not like the GTA collection that was horribly done. Like
You know, my brother
I've
got
never
that and he's
played,
loving it.
I've never beaten. I mean, if you like it, that's fine. Like, all more power to you. But I'm not gonna give my money to guys who like legitimately. Like, I'm happy I didn't because when you think about it, yeah, that was suspicious that they just randomly decide to say, "Oh, this game's coming out in like a month or two." I'm like, shouldn't you guys have talked about this a lot sooner? It's a little weird here. Like, I mean, it's cool it's coming out so quickly, but like, I didn't think
Like,
about it at first.
no,
But when you see what happened, you're like, yeah, maybe I should have been more suspicious.
with yeah, with GTA, I don't really. I honestly don't know how they messed that up.
Well, they
I
gave it
mean, they
to
already had the.
a. Well,
Oh, they gave it to another company.
instead of doing it in house or giving it to a different group, they gave it to the group who made the made the phone ports. So they
Oh,
gave it to a group who worked on the phone port to now all of a sudden be like, now you're gonna do a console port, and you have it this set amount of time to do it.
uh,
It's like, why do
That's
you...
not very good.
I'm like, 2K, you guys, 2K, Rockstar, you have a lot of money. You have a lot of money. Maybe you got, okay, maybe you guys don't because sometimes you guys are always ready to sue someone, but I think you have enough money to give it to a different company who could really probably help improve the game.
That is right. They did sue somebody. I forgot what the whole thing
It Takes
was.
Two.
Oh yeah, they tried to sue them for the name.
And I'm like, that makes no sense to sue them over that. That game's been out for so long, too. So I'm like, are you guys running out of money? Are you guys running out of money? Because why would you sue
It's so
group who,
petty.
this group who made this game for such a long time? Like, it was announced a while back, and now you're like, we're gonna sue. I'm like, why didn't you guys sue then?
Wait, it's on the thing for making game of the year? Quick, sue them!
Well, it happened before that.
Oh shit.
That's why sometimes I do feel. I mean, the game deserved it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, all the games on the Game of the Year would have deserved the win. At least, wait, maybe not one. I'm not sure. I can't remember all of them, but I think there was one. I'm like, oh, but I didn't really deserve it. But that did deserve it, and I'm happy it did win. But sometimes I think, did that win because of the controversy, or did it win because it really was? I mean, it really is a good game. I played it. Like, I've played it. It's a good game. A good story is
I have
good.
too.
I never
I played
finished
it
it,
at a
but it's a
friend's
good.
house.
I didn't finish it, but it's still a good game, and the story was still
I
pretty
didn't
good.
either.
So I'm not like, I don't want to
I,
like take away their win, but I sometimes feel like, did they win because of the controversy? I mean, hopefully that's not why they won. Hopefully they won because people really were like, no, this game deserves it.
well, the I mean, let's be honest. The Game Awards are rigged.
After
Or at
Last of
least
Us
they appear to
2,
be.
well, I mean,
After Last of Us 2, I'm convinced that they are rigged.
it's
So I don't really
weird.
know what their process is for deciding games. They say that, oh, it's for the consumer or it's the player base that decides, but I'm just like, I find that very hard to
The player
believe.
base really doesn't decide. Like, it must be.
No.
Like, I can't remember what game it was that there was a game that won Best Music. Don't get me wrong, the game he won, I liked the music, but I don't think it deserved Game of the Year. You get the game of the best music. It was Guardians of the
Didn't
Galaxy.
it beat didn't Last of Us 2 beat out Doom to Eternal
It beat
in
out a
terms
lot
of
of games that it
music?
shouldn't have beaten out.
Oh my god.
And that was the year where a lot of people were like, "Oh, this shit's rigged, isn't it?" Like, I
Well,
don't think a lot of people consider that. I didn't consider that. But after the Last of Us 2, I was like, "Oh, this shit is rigged, isn't it?" Like, a lot of the votes might not have been for us.
that's what the cancellation of E3 this year was for. They're just trying to hide the fact that is like, oh, people already know that it's rigged. Let's just give it another year so they'll forget.
I can't remember like Game Awards. I can't remember, but I remember this year, like the last Game Awards this past, I was like, because Guardians of the Galaxy won Best Soundtrack, where I'm like, the soundtrack's good because I've never listened to a lot of old '80s music, old '80s '70s music, and I'm like, this is a good listen. This is really great to listen to. But the other contenders, where I'm like, I think that game should have gotten it though. Like,
Yeah.
mind you, there's one guy I know, decided to say the game only won because it's Marvel, and I'm like, not really. The music, there's that music in there's good. Like, I think a lot of people, like, I knew a guy who I worked with who loved listening to the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack because he loved the music. So I'm like, no, people really did enjoy the music in the game. Also, the game was good. I played Guardians of the Galaxy. It was a good game. It just sucks. Came out right after the Avengers did, because there was people saying, "Oh, it's gonna be broken like the Avengers," even though here's the most annoying thing when it comes to being a person who plays games, or at least in my case, someone who plays games but also watches video people of who do news. Might sometimes do a little bit more research on something. Be like, oh, let me see, or at least watch people who do research on the topics. One, the
Yeah.
game was made by a different publisher. It was yes, it was. I mean, not publisher, developer. Square Enix was publishing it, but it was not developed by the people who did the Avengers game. So that's one point for them. And then you actually play the game, you're like, oh, this is so much better than the Avengers game. Like, when you look at it, and even then, the story's better written, and it actually feels like a comic book game because you get a lot more references and a lot more bosses and stuff compared to the Avengers game, where you only
You can
fight one.
tell.
Huh?
I was gonna say you could tell when passion is actually put into something. you know.
Passion, and then there's Passion that got murdered horribly by bigger people.
It was taken to the back alley and shot in the back of the head.
which is
Is that what you're saying?
which happens a lot when it comes to some games.
Yeah. But there's been some games that I've played that you could just tell like the devs had a little bit of freedom with. But then there's other ones where it's just like I'm gonna say it. I like Cyberpunk 2077.
I mean,
Let's say
that's not such a
2020.
criticism. I mean, I like it too.
Uh,
I'm
I,
replaying it
I
right now.
I like that game. I like the plot. I like the characters. I
Like,
like what you can
yeah,
do.
yeah.
But the bugs really do kind of hinder it. I feel like if they just had more time and they did,
They had to have another year.
yeah, it had to have another year. Uh, and it seems like now they're still trying to pick up the pieces. But from what I've seen, a lot more people are buying the game now. Now, I guess the people were waiting for the discount or waiting for more patches to come out.
Yeah,
And
like
when I played it, it was very much playable. I only got like what one crash.
don't be like
Um,
me who played it on PS4, and I mean first generation PS4.
oh,
There was a point I
I'm not
thought my
gonna lie.
PlayStation bricked. I thought my PlayStation 4 finally died because it. I never got a screen like I did when it stopped working. And I thought Cyberpunk PS4 version bricked it. If it did, my whole opinion on that game would have changed completely. No one would be able to tell me different. That game sucks. If that happened, because I
I
would have lost a console and I would have lost some money.
I I I I will say that I think the game should have just stuck with the PS5 and the PC.
It
I
should.
know you have a PS4. I
Well,
just feel like trying to do that was a little too ambitious on their part.
the problem was they started before the PlayStation 5 and Xbox was even like announced. Like they started like years before those things were even like ready to come out. Like, but they were still just like a twinkle in their eye and like Sony's and Microsoft eyes. They
My
were
guess is they probably had the idea and they probably had the structure of it, but by the time by the time the Xbox, I was about to say the Xbox 5.
I mean, by all accounts, it's
But
like the Xbox 4 now, but
the by the time those came out, they probably just said, you know what, let's just make it more for those and forget about the other thing, and then they probably put themselves in a bind by doing that.
they did. They 100%.
And they just bit off a little bit more than they could chew, and next thing you know, I guess the publisher was just like, oh well, we still need it out at this time, and they were like, oh shit, we bit off more than we could chew. We can't really do this. And next thing you know, we get a yellow apology letter on
Well, the problem was, I
on the
think
internet.
more of the director and probably even like you said, the people above top publishers, other
Hmm.
companies, like they probably were like, "Hey, we need this game out now. We're not gonna let you delay it again." Probably
They delayed it twice, didn't
they
they?
delayed it more than twice, if I'm correct. They delayed it when it was announced as gold. When they're like, "The game's finished. We're just touching it up." They got delayed when it was
Oh,
gold. And
I'm
that's when it's
surprised.
like that should have been the sign of you guys need to put it. You guys need to wait a year. You need to wait one more year. People will be
Hmm.
mad. People will be ready to fight you, but it just wait another year.
There were people who put out they made vacation days around that game's like
You know when something's hype when people be like,
release.
"I'm taking the week off of work."
Yeah. There were people that plan their vacation days around that. And
I
it's
don't. I'd
just
be straight up honest. I don't.
damn.
As someone who does work, well, I would never do that for a game. I can't because we're as games have now become more and more like I don't know what word to use. I got no word to use. Just when they're just, I always expect a delay now with most games. Like anytime I think a game's really hype, I'm like, it might be delayed at some point.
For me, it's just like I like games. I play them a lot. Uh but I if I took a vacation day, it's gonna be for a actual big vacation. If
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a vacation week, I'm going somewhere. I'm going somewhere. I'm gonna see something. I'm doing something for that week. I'm not gonna waste my vacation days for
I felt bad
a
for those
game
MMOs.
that's gonna come out and it's gonna be full of bugs. Because there's always, let's be honest, it's always full of bugs. There's so many games out there that they come out on launch and they're full of bugs. We gotta wait for the.
It ranges from bugs too. It ranges from, oh, this is not too bad, to, oh my god, this is bad.
Oh my god, I'm getting like 18 frames, and I'm at like the lowest possible settings. But yeah, it just the day one patches, the day one patches suck. I just wish games would just be finished, but I'm not the only one saying. There's a lot of people have been asking that for a very long time.
I don't think we're ever gonna get that again.
I just yeah.
I'm just used
If
to it at
there's
this point.
if there's anything that people need a damn like protest, it's let the developers fix the game on their leisure and tell the publishers to stop fucking rushing them.
Well, it's
Or
publishers and
the
stock
people
market.
giving money.
Yeah,
Stock, yeah, that's the one.
the
Yeah,
stock
them.
in the sense. Like the people who were like, well, we need this game out by this time, like, so we can see the money of it. It's like, oh man,
Like no, you know, get it no.
and they take all the money away. You're like, fuck.
Develop, developer goes up belly up because they can't do it.
But oh god, I had something to say. And I can't remember because it was related to what you were talking about, like oh no, like vacation days. Because I remember the back when whatchamacallit came out, when like the huge kind of story arc ending for FF14 came out, and there was no glitches. It just so many people were playing that people couldn't get on.
Ooh yeah.
And I'm like, if that doesn't say how hype a game is, I don't know what does. Because I've never heard of a game like that being played so much that people can't go and play it. And I felt bad because the developers were even like, we tried getting servers, but because of the pandemic, the people who would make the servers got slowed down, so we couldn't get them in time.
Final Fantasy 14 is incredibly hype, which is kind of sad because I didn't actually enjoy it. My experience with it wasn't very great.
I think you
But
do need to play, like, depending on who you are as a person, I think you do need to play with people. I think playing with people might give it a better experience, in my opinion.
well, didn't they like add a new feature where you could play with like NPCs?
I'm not sure. I don't remember because, like I said, I haven't played in a while, and I don't keep up with the moves that much. FF14, they might have.
They did a graphics overhaul to like they made everything look a lot nicer, and I think they added a feature where you could actually play or recruit NPCs to join you on quest.
If that did happen, that makes this. Hopefully, if that is true, that means the dungeons I've had to do would be so much easier because I wouldn't have to wait for a player to come.
I'm curious. I think that is something that they added. Uh, and my experience with the game, I I found it too mundane. I got stuck in the very beginning sections, and I remember spending like hours just doing a bunch of mundane stuff, and I just got bored. Like I literally lost interest, and I just stopped playing it.
Yeah.
And
I can see that because
I
yeah, the
hear
first part, like the very kind of first couple of missions, is just mundane. But once you like defeat a boss, like one little small boss, and then you get like kind of a credit of like a story cutscene, you're like, wait a minute, okay, something's going here. I
another issue that I had is just the fact that it's subscription. Now there is a free version, but the free version I think stops at what was it Heaven's Ward? Was it?
Yeah,
Um, and they also kind of take out a lot of other content too that would make just the overall experience more enjoyable. They really want you to get the subscription,
well, it makes
basically.
sense though because it's an MMO and like the developer's not gonna keep giving them money.
Yeah,
forever. So they're like, we do need subscriptions so we can get the money. And even the subscription's like pretty cheap. So compared to like anything else,
I know. I just don't really care for them.
like
I've
you,
never really cared for subscriptions.
I think subscriptions are good if it's not like bad. Like, and I don't know how to I don't know how to better word it, but like, it isn't
Like
like
you want content for it. If you're getting good content, then it makes
a
sense.
whole MMO like with like expansion stuff like that. That makes sense. Not like let's say, remember when Fallout 76 did the subscription, like
Oh
Fallout First.
God.
That
Yeah, I
was
remember
like,
that.
no, there's no subscription. Your game's also broken. Fucking fix it.
Is that the sun over there? Yeah, like they never fix the lighting thing, so it's just like
Do you know
random lights
GTA
and
is also starting to about to do that too?
I really hope that's not a
That's
thing.
I know, I'm
Because,
not kidding. That's actually been in the news. They're actually planning on doing that.
oh God.
And I'm
I don't like subscriptions. I just don't. I would much rather just pay for a full game than get a subscription for it. And I've always been that way.
like I said, MMOs make sense, but when it comes to like I said, Fallout, and even though Fallout 76 is an MMO, it's a bad MMO.
It's a bad MMO. Yeah.
Like when you have like small developers, like WoW, I'm pretty sure was a small developer when they first started, so of course they needed that subscription.
Shoot, next thing you know, we're gonna get a new we're gonna get the COD subscription, which I mean basically is just regular COD. It feels like
You say
if
that
you
now, but you know they will eventually do it.
I mean, it seems like Call of Duty is just it favors the people that pay money. You get all the new cosmetics, you level up faster and everything. It's just like they really want you to do that. If you and that's with buying the game at full price. That pisses me off. That really does. Cuz I just started like playing Modern Warfare again, and like on the very first like the intro of the game is them like showcasing Vanguard or promoting Vanguard, I should say. I'm like, dude, I'm playing Modern Warfare. I'm not playing Vanguard. I don't want to play Vanguard. Why are you showing Vanguard? This is a totally different game. Like, separate these two. Um, and I actually recently heard that um, for people that have the game, you have to wait an extra long load time because apparently you're forced to download updates for Warzone 2. So the updates for COD, which are frequent, mind you, they're all gonna be long.
Yeah, listening to my friends talk about the COD stuff, like like how many times you the update or download, I'm like,
Always,
I'm
always,
like,
it's always updating.
thank God I'm not a PC player because I would be annoyed by that.
Yeah, I think that honestly, the last good one was Modern Warfare. I've looked at the Cold War. I've looked at the Vanguard and everything. My brother, he has Vanguard. He wanted it for Christmas, so we just got it for him. And yeah, and yeah, the I'm sure you've heard the cliche. There's a new COD every year. Uh, that's actually not a myth. That is actually factually correct. There has been a new Call of Duty every single year
I
for
think
the last like decade.
I think this year they're taking a break. I think this is the year where they're taking a break this year anyway. Cause
They're gonna focus on Warzone.
I remember hearing a news. I remember something on a news article or something where I think COD was taking a break. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
they're gonna
good.
focus on Warzone. They're gonna try to milk that one a little bit, but
I mean, I don't like the like. Here's the thing: I don't mind COD. I think people who like COD can like it. I like COD, so I like COD back in the
it's a
day.
guilty pleasure.
Like,
It's a guilty pleasure of mine.
if you love it, if you love the series, you played every game. That's fine. More power to you. I just didn't like the fact when I learned they made other developers, like other developers who were like, in a sense, other developers who worked for other groups, like own companies in a way, be like, you guys are now going to start working on Call of Duty stuff, and you're like, what? Like Toys for Bob, the people who did the Crash games are now forced to help out in COD stuff. Like
Ugh.
everyone's like, "Oh, you guys should Crash? Are you gonna do Spiral next, or are you guys gonna steal the rights from Jack and Dexter? Not steal, but I actually know what steal the rights back, steal the rights to Jack and Dexter from Naughty Dog and make a new game or a remake or something." Nope. Now they're working on COD Forever. So who knows when they'll make a new game of any Crash game again?
Oh yeah. No, that's really bad.
That's when I'm like, that's not fun anymore.
I still have the guilty pleasure every time, every now and then I'll get the itch of just wanting to play another COD game. Uh, Despite all the hate for it, but as far as like the newer ones, I'm just like, I don't even really care. I'm not gonna lie. I used to somewhat defend it in terms of like certain mechanics of it, like time to kill. That's one thing that apparently people don't seem to talk about all that much. Different kinds of system, like weapon systems. Some of them are very menial, uh, but some of them do kind of make a difference. But now it's like you can't even the most diehard COD fans can't even like defend that game. It's just gone so far downhill. Same with Battlefield.
I
Battlefield's
think
gone
compared
downhill.
to the two, at least Call of Duty is somewhat. At least Call of Duty to a degree care about the games in a way and their audience to a degree. Not like Battlefield where it got so bad that even people who cheat in the game are like, this game's poorly made. We can't even cheat properly now.
I recently got Battlefield 5 and I feel like I wasted my money. I spent $12
Like the
on
one that just
Game on
came out
Sale.
recently.
No, no, not 2042. Battlefield 5.
Oh, okay.
It was the one that had that big thing. It wasn't even the big thing. It was just the thing that was more focused on. It was just the whole realism. It was a World War II genre, and people were complaining that women were in it, and it was like, oh, it's not realistic. It's like, okay, that wasn't the only big thing. There was also it also had a pretty poor launch. Um, don't all Battlefield games? Battlefield 4 had a poor launch, but side tangent aside, that was one of the big things that people have focused on. Then I guess the CEO was deciding to throw a little fit about it, and he gave this statement talking about my daughter plays games and I want her to feel inclusive. And yeah, it's like, wait, how old is your daughter? Is your daughter old enough to be playing these games? No. But that was a big thing that I remember hearing. There was some
That
people
game.
that were talking about. It wasn't the only reason, but it was the reason that it seems to a lot of people focused on.
Well, they
You know, it's
focused
the
on
most
it.
memorable reason.
I think the thing was people focused on it, and I'm like, yeah, you guys shouldn't be too mad about this. It's kind of silly. But then they started actually being assholes about it, like the developers and the publishers. I'm like, okay, now you've made it an issue.
Yeah,
When you
it,
we start grouping almost everyone together, that's when it's like, okay, now you're making it an issue.
yeah, they started making it a real issue by just calling people out, and it's just like, come on, man. Like, just I don't care that there are girls in the game. Fuck that. I just want a good game. They've taken out a lot of the features. As I've been playing Battlefield 5, coming from a guy that the last Battlefield game I played was Battlefield 1. They've taken out some of the features. They've decreased the amount of players in a squad. You only have 4 players in a squad now. And to top it all off, the game's full of hackers. I don't use that term lightly. I
Yeah, those
really don't.
hackers came back.
I
There's a lot more
I'm
hackers now because of the
I'm
fact of the last game.
yeah. I now don't get me wrong. I feel like people overuse the term hacker. Like they'll just like sometimes you just get killed by a better player. They just know how to MLG no scope you because they've been playing for so long, or sometimes they're just good. I don't know. But with Battlefield 5, when you can actually see the person zipping around the field at like supersonic speed and getting instant headshots and shooting through walls,
Yeah.
you kind of have to like think to yourself, and then you spectate this person and their entire heads up display is just all fucked up because they're hacking.
Do you want
It
to?
happened to me every other match for Battlefield 5 currently. And that's not good. It's really not. People are going back to that game because 2042 apparently is hemorrhaging players faster than I don't. It's like unplugging a person with a terminal illness. It's losing all of its damn players. I looked it up. Actually, I was in Discord voice chat, talking with some other people about this very thing, and it's actually currently at 1,800 something players.
Do you? That's why I said that even the cheaters left.
Yeah,
That's how bad it is. Do you want? I found. Do you want to know? Here's some of the features that were cut because I looked up a list: single player campaign or story mode, server browser, standard multiplayer game modes such as team deathmatch was cut, persistent lobbies, a variety of in-game assignments, class system, mini character customization options, stats
yep.
page in game menu, battle logs and stats tracker for other players. I don't know why you would get rid of a global leaderboard. Like what? Custom emblem
Yeah,
support, spectator mode, permanent community servers, central US server, weapon test server, test range. I'm like, why would you some like and then they went back and made it seem like these are super good features that we are now adding. I'm like, these should have been in the game in the first place.
they didn't even want to put the scoreboard on there in the first place, from what I remember.
I can't remember if they put it up yet or not because they've been trying to fix it, but I'm like, you guys messed up so bad. I don't think you can even. I don't think you guys can no man's sky yourself out of this. I mean, you guys might have actually. You guys, and if I'm correct, are actually about to talk about making a new one. So because
That's
they decided to be like, okay, we messed up. We're gonna get the guy who made Titanfall 2 to make the next game. Yeah, like I mean, if you guys give him the free reign, and you guys don't breathe down his throat and tell him what to get rid of, you might get a good game, maybe.
Titanfall. They've since stopped like support of that game because there was apparently a big hacking problem on that game.
Yeah, they stopped this part of Titan. At least one, anyway. I know two they're still supporting at least.
No, no, no. Two's down. The
Oh, I didn't
player
know.
base
I didn't know they got rid of
they
the.
took two down.
I didn't know that. I knew they took one down because the hacking problem was so bad. They're like, we can't fix it. We've tried everything. We can't fix this.
Now that you say that, I wonder because I thought it was two.
I think it's one because one. A lot of people always complain about one.
Well, I mean, regardless,
Either way, the hacking problem was too bad
hackers
for them.
hackers kill games. You get people that just stop playing because they become so prevalent, and it just gets to the point where it's just nobody wants to do it anymore. Next thing you know, you don't have any players to really do anything. Hackers successfully have killed the damn game.
I mean, if you hack a game because you want, like, I can understand doing like hacking stuff. You're playing with your friends and you're hacking. Like everyone's hacking right now. This is like you and your friends. But when you go into actual games and hack people, it's like, why? What's the point? Like,
Yeah, they're just trying to have fun. Why would you ruin their experience?
I mean, I know your parents don't love you enough, or your partner, or you don't have a partner of your own. But
You
still,
don't have
come
a
on.
partner. You have your hand.
Oh
Yeah.
wait, that actually came out. I thought that game. I did not come out. I didn't know that already came out. Yeah, I remember telling you about the GTA thing. Yeah, it's GTA Plus. I didn't know that actually came out already. I thought that was still in the back of working. Never mind. Now it's out, and people will pay
I,
for it.
I think since you're talking about Titanfall, I think Respawn is now just focused on Apex Legends.
That's what a lot of people think now, and I'm not into like those games. So,
I'm
but
not either.
from what I could tell, like that's what it looks like now.
I went to Apex Legends a total of like 4 times. I just can't get into it. I don't like that game.
The
I don't like
only
battle royales, which is a big one,
yeah,
but I just don't like the game. I've played the game. It's always hard for me to kind of explain this to people who don't play a lot of shooters. Uh, 'Cause I mean, out of my friends group, I'm really like the only one who plays like the most shooters. So having an understanding of certain mechanics and stuff. When I play Apex Legends, I've always felt like the game has just felt stiff. Like the gunplay felt stiff. It feels not dated, but it just feels very weird. And I part of me thinks that maybe they're doing that for balancing reasons, but the other part's just like, why?
Mm.
Uh, and since Battlefield 5 has been getting bombarded, Battlefield 2042 has been getting killed. Apparently, Warzone's getting a big hacking problem. People are all migrating to Apex Legends now.
I think they're
And
migrating to both Apex and the other one that's out.
PUBG,
No, PUBG died.
Fortnite,
Well, PUBG, I shouldn't say die. I shouldn't say die. It still has a player base, but barely anyone plays it as much as they used to. Um,
Fortnite.
Actually, yeah, Fortnite. Fortnite that has a mode where you don't build anymore.
Thank God, I fucking
So now you
hated,
can do
I hated that.
So now you can do battle royale without building.
I still don't like Battle Royale, but I hated that building. I didn't care for it.
People are moving over to Fortnite, Apex, and what is the other one? I can't
Is it
remember.
another Battle Royale?
I think it is.
Is it Hunter?
No, it's a. Let me see if many of my friends are playing it right now because I know they've been playing that game like fucking hell. Valorant.
Phasmophobia.
Valorant.
Valorant? Ew.
Yes.
Ugh. No.
Those are probably the top games people are playing now. Like when it comes to shooters, I think those might be the top. Because even like games like, at least from what my friend told me, CS:GO is not as much fun as it used to be.
Valorant feels just like CS:GO to me. It feels like CS:GO with heroes. That's literally what it feels like to me. The leveling design, the gunplay, everything. It just feels exactly like it. It just feels like a futuristic, slightly more polished CS:GO.
The only thing, like from what I could tell, Valorant has going for it, for me personally, is just character designs. That's it. Which is the same thing with like League of Legends. Character designs well made. That's it for me.
I think League of Legends got a boost when that Arcane show came out.
Arcane was good. Yeah, Arcane was hell.
It was good. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Arcane was pretty damn.
I know
pretty damn good.
someone who refuses to watch it. One, because it's right, but two, he's like, it's only advertising the game. I'm like, not really. It never.
Not really. It has
There's
its
no
own
big.
story.
It's no big pin-up saying play League of Legends. There's nothing at the end. The credits is nothing. They're like separate. They're like, you don't have to play the game. Here, watch the show.
I didn't even really enjoy League of Legends all that much.
I've played it.
But I did like that.
I didn't get it.
I'm not into MOBAs. But the show was good. You don't need to play the game to understand, like, to like the show. I didn't enjoy the game all that much, but I did like the show. The show was pretty damn good.
Oh yeah, it was well made, well written. It was pretty. The music, everything was good.
Now, if they would just remove the fucking Imagine Dragons song.
Hey man, I like that song. Yeah, that song's pretty good.
I swear, I used to like them, but I started getting sick of their music after a while.
What are you, a hipster? You don't like the old things anymore, man?
No.
Is that a hipster? I don't remember what hipsters are.
I guess because I've heard their music so much in different forms of media, I've just kind of got sick of their music.
I usually can't tell. I haven't really heard their music that much, really. Like,
there's a meme going around where the person is like imitating the rock radio station. He was just like explosion sounds. He's like, your grandma has never heard this music. Never. He's like, don't try this music at home. Explosions, epic sounds, and then it's just like, now on 10 something point rock station. All rock, let's go. And it starts playing Imagine Dragons.
I don't know, but I liked Arcane. Arcane was good. I can't wait for the second season. But
oh yeah, me neither.
I was baffled because I decided to watch this. I used to watch this one react, like, we're back to react. We're back to like commentaries and stuff like that. But I remember I watched this one group who react to like anime, like movies and anime and stuff like that. Like their whole channel was just reacting to stuff. it was like they're pretty good. I didn't like some of their opinions sometimes, especially the guy and the main guy. I think saying Aaron is right about genocide is crazy to me, but they
I feel
decide.
like people do that just to be edgy.
Dude, I've fucking okay. Before I go on my thing, let me get on another tangent of right now Attack on Titan, where Aaron's like, "I'm gonna genocide the whole world." I do not get how there are people who agree with him, and I'm like, no, I don't care if for the fact. Like, don't get me wrong, the world is wrong for what they did to his race of people. But that doesn't make him a good person for wanting to genocide all of them. How can you say, no, he's in the right? No, he's not in the right.
There's people who agree with Omni-Man. Omni-Man.
I mean, once you read the series, hey, listen, I like Omni Man. If you read the books, you're like, oh, okay, he's not too bad.
I haven't read the books.
I really highly suggest you should read the book. That's not me joking. If you don't want to read any other comic, at least read Invincible. That's a good ass comic, which is surprising. I mean, I shouldn't say surprising. I've read comics forever, so I shouldn't say that.
I've only seen the show. I didn't. Yeah, I've only seen the show.
I will say that's why
I will say that his reasons in the show weren't very.
Oh no,
good.
he still has the same reasons in the show in the book. Don't get me wrong. It's just what happens later on, which his character is, and I'm like, okay. But go back onto my tangent of. Oh, fuck, what was my tangent just now? Oh, yeah, the whole genocide stuff. Where I'm that stuff where I'm like, because there's even one artist I follow who, mind you, I think they're annoying because their whole manga topics are usually just them being kind of nitpicky and kind of negative. Yeah, I like your art, but your opinions are just nitpicky and negative all the time. And someone called him out for that, and all his fans were just like, dude, you're stupid. He's giving his opinions. I'm like, he can give his opinions. But maybe you should mix it up every once in a while.
You know, Moist Critical.
I've heard of him. Yes. I know what you're talking about.
The guy who says "Woo!"
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
He made a very good point on a little snippet. It was out of context, yeah, I will admit. But he said that one of the things that a lot of content creators seem to fall in, a hole that a lot of them tend to fall in, is once you get big. You get a lot of fans and everything. You start getting surrounded by a bunch of people that just agree with you, even if you're wrong. You're constantly being told you're right,
which is yes.
He said with the big content, he said with people with large followings, when they're full of a bunch of people that just tell them they're right, even if they're wrong, they start getting very arrogant about it, and they start to truly believe that they're right. And I was like, I couldn't agree more.
Yes,
because it seems like
and also
that is
it happens.
A very common thing that happens.
Also, it happens too where fans also start becoming a little bit more lenient on the content creator. They're like, no matter what they say, they're like, oh well, it's not that bad. Calm down. Where it's like, no, it was kind of stupid what he said. We're allowed to criticize that.
Yeah.
Because Moist Critical said some stupid shit about anime, and people came at him for that. Because he's like, oh, anime's all bad. They're all kind of the same, and it's like. Dude, you need to explore your shit a little bit more. You need to explore a little bit more instead of just relying on, like, I don't like the term mainstream, but it looks like you're just sticking to kind of the more anime that's just popular right now instead of, like, really checking out a lot of other series.
Naruto, Bleach.
Like, those shows aren't bad to watch. They're like gateway anime. Like, mainstream anime is gateway anime for people. Which I don't know why people shit on that. Which I don't understand why people shit on that. The idea of like those anime being gateway anime. Like if it becomes mainstream, it's bad, and I'm like that's stupid. But Moist Critical said that, and a lot of people were like, even me, I made a comment about that on Twitter where I'm like, no, we're like that's kind of stupid. And there was some people trying to bat for him, even people who I follow trying to bat for him, being like, well, no, well, I mean, and it's like no. No, we and like people were saying, but it's his opinion. I'm like, we're allowed to criticize his opinion. Like that's stupid to say it's his opinion, so we care.
His opinion doesn't mean that we don't have an opinion.
Like a lot of people came for him that day. Like I was surprised. A lot of people were like, dude, what? I like you, but what are you talking about? Like a lot of people were like,
I didn't know he thought of things that way.
Like yeah, and I'm just like. You're not really going out there then. That's on you for thinking like that, man. That's not anime's fault. That's on you. Like you can go out there and explore, my guy. But
I
back,
wonder if
hmm?
I wonder if that's when he learned.
Who
If that's when he
knows?
learned that, because that whole thing when I just told you, I was like, I wonder if that's when he learned that. It's like, oh yeah,
Because here's the
opinions can
thing.
actually be shit.
Because here's the thing. Even though Moist Quirkle said that thing you said earlier, he can fall into that too. Because I've seen creators be
Oh
like
yeah,
that, and they fall into the traps of becoming toxic or not that great. So
you start walking around. You ever heard the saying? You walk around like your shit don't stink, that
uh,
kind of thing.
I think my saying with like what Boyce says is that you become what's the term? Later on, you become like I can't remember it, but it's like you become what you hate. Like you become
Yeah,
the thing you dislike. And like I'm not saying he is gonna become that, but I'm just saying like, but you have to be careful of that because even he could fall into that eventually. At least fan base wise, his fans are kind of showing that, but I know he's probably not like that. At least not yet, anyway. Hopefully he never does, but hopefully like when people gave him that criticism, he looked at it as like, okay, maybe they are right. Maybe I should check
yeah.
out something else. Hopefully he did look at that because I don't really follow him like other people. So,
I
it,
mean, I've only been looking at like little snippets here and
like yeah,
there.
that's the same for me. I've only seen clips and stuff like that. So
Uh, the stuff I have seen has been pretty. It's been tame. It's been pretty good. Uh, but I mean, you never know.
yeah, but
They could just as easily fall into that. I mean,
yeah.
shoot.
But to what I was saying earlier about like the whole like back when we were saying I'm talking about Arcane, like I remember these guys decided to watch Arcane. I'm like, okay, I like to see their reactions to it because I finished it. I was like, oh, let me see their reaction to it. They'll probably enjoy it. The fact they didn't understand, like, Jinx, right? The fact that they didn't understand Jinx's character at the start, that there was something wrong with her already, like she had a little tick already.
Yeah.
Like they didn't understand that, and they were just shitting on her whole time.
Let me
Like
guess.
when she
She
lost
just
the,
turned evil out of nowhere.
like when she lost the money, they were like, "Oh, that
Yeah.
was stupid for her. Why'd she lose it like that?" It's like she was cornered. She's a kid at that too.
She is a kid.
And then when the scene where like she acts like she didn't mean to, but when everything hit the fan at the factory and everything exploded because she thought she could help, they were
Mm-hmm.
like, "No, you did wrong. You messed up." And it's like, yeah, she does. Like even I, as a guy who watched it, she did mess up, but she was trying to help.
She was a little girl.
And like I said, you in the episode where she freaks out, something's wrong with her. But no,
we're not saying we're not saying kids are stupid, but we're also not saying that kids are freaking geniuses either.
yeah.
Like people make mistakes. That shows like humanity
And they
and the
hated her
character.
more at the scene where she hugs the bang bad guy, like the villain of the series,
She
because
had nowhere else to go.
and her
That was the
sister
only
and her
person.
sister like completely reeled her, really like completely like yelled at her, shit out at her, pretty much, and walked away. And yeah, that's a mental destruction on a child who already had mental issues. And I'm like, these guys didn't understand that. And then, like, even their comments were like, you're not understanding this character, are you? Because reading
The
their YouTube
only
comments were like, oh my god, everyone dislikes what they're saying right now.
the only person that she had that really understood her was her sister. And then when her sister like left her, then she felt like she didn't have anybody else.
Like, she broke
The fact
apart.
that they didn't get that, just like what the fuck were they doing?
Well, mind you, there's also the same guys who, mind you, they're also the same people who, like, when God of High School came out, and there's the character who, like, went back to school at, like, I think he was in his 30s or something. They made fun of him for that. And I'm like, that's
Oh
a
my
real
god.
thing. That's a real. People really go back to school later in life. If they didn't finish high school, they do go back and finish. I think there
Yeah.
was a news article about
All
a
the
guy who I think was in his 60s went back and finished high school because he didn't finish it.
Now was it high school or was it like
I
college?
think it was high school.
Because I was thinking a GED.
I think it was high school because this guy was. I think it was high school because I was like Jesus Christ, but it was still like interesting to see that because there are people like that, and like they were making fun of him for that, but also because there was a girl who had like I don't know why they didn't understand that. Also, the part where the girl had a crush on him, like the girl who was she was 17, he was in his 30s. Yeah, that's weird, but she had a crush on him. He didn't know about it. He was oblivious to it, but they were getting on him for that too, and it's like, but that's not his fault. He didn't have feelings for her. He didn't know that. Of course, later on he knew, but when he knew, he's like, okay, if we do this, I'm waiting till you're an adult. Like, we're not gonna. That's weird. Like, I know your dad. That's weird. Let's wait until you're older. And I'm like, yeah, that's weird, but whatever. At least he wanted to wait till he's 18. But I didn't like
You
the
know,
fact they were making fun of him for the fact he went back to school because they found that weird. But if you went and read their comments, everyone was like, "Are you guys stupid? People do that in real life." Like people were even giving examples of family members who did that. And but the guy was so adamant about it, like, no, it is weird. And it's like, no, it's not. If you think it's weird, you're really sheltered. And it's weird because of the way you act, I don't think you should be sheltered. I just think the money got to you now.
you get famous, and then you start whenever you get any sort of like criticism or whatever, you make the next video with a sassy remark to those like comments from the last video. Like, oh yeah, since I've been getting a lot of shit in the last video, I think I'm just gonna give a shitty remark. It's like, dude, just own up to it. Yeah, it's okay to be wrong.
Either own up
it's
to
okay
it or
be
just
wrong.
don't mention it. Just be like, just move on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
it was,
sometimes you can't avoid. There's some instances you can't avoid it, but then there are other instances where just fucking own up to it. It's all right. It's okay to be wrong.
like I really did
All
unfollow.
right.
I stopped watching him after that arcane one because I was already having issues with like some of their like at least what the main guy's opinions on some things where I'm like I don't think you really understand these characters too well or the world that much. But when it came to the arcane one, I think something in me just snapped where I'm like, you know what? No, I'm done. Because I think
Yeah.
it was because of how much I don't think it was a bias for me. It really was. If you do not understand this character whatsoever, even though it's very obvious you can understand her, you really aren't really watching the show. At that point, you're really just more or less just watching it without thinking. I mean, yeah, you shouldn't overthink when you're watching the show, but at least you should be able to understand what's going on. Because, like I said, when it comes to Jinx, you could all of a sudden, like I said, I've said this so many times already. I repeat myself, but
Oh, goodness.
she had issues. She had like there was something already mentally wrong with her. It was something
Didn't they not have parents? Like they didn't have like biological parents.
their parents were dead. If I'm correct, the first episode they see their dead bodies. So
So that's already an issue with their development. Because you could tell with both of them, it seems like they only had each other.
like they
That's
had their
already a
foster
thing.
dad too.
Yeah,
So but they had each other in a way. Like they knew each other very well.
but that already causes like developmental issues. You shouldn't have to be a psychologist to see that like you shouldn't have to be a psychologist to see that there were problems present there, you
Well,
know?
like I said, the episode where she really freaks out, you should be able to tell, oh, something's wrong with her.
Yeah.
She has some issues mentally. Like that should have been the cue sign of okay, something's wrong with her. Like she's not healthy right now.
Not
And yeah,
mentally stable.
what she did was stupid. And when she tried saving him, she should have stayed behind. But she did it because she thought she was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, you can always say doing the right thing is not right. And I don't know how many times I alliterate it. Yes, what she did was stupid, and by all accounts, it really is her fault. But I'm not gonna just crap on her completely for it because I'm like, she really thought she was helping, and it is sad what happened. Like she didn't expect it, and what happened broke her even more. Like it broke her
She
more as a
tried.
person, huh?
Yeah. She tried to do something that she normally wouldn't do, and when she did, she got penalized for it,
Yeah,
and she didn't know how to take it.
she got out of, in a
And
sense, her comfort zone.
Yeah, and it broke her. And for a person who doesn't like have that understanding of things like things to happen like that, it's just like you don't they don't know how to they don't know how to process it. And they showed that very well in the show. She didn't know how to process the I was about to say predicament. uh she just didn't understand how to process it, but I don't understand how people could watch all of that scene and not see that. It's shown clear as day, but they just don't see it. And they interpret it totally different. I'm like, why? And then you want to shit on her for it. Oh, well, she's not this perfect person. Yeah, well, yeah, no shit, she's not perfect. I feel like that's what the show was trying to show. Everybody has their own flaws, you know?
Like each character you meet has issues. Like no one's like every like okay, I will say at least there's like a few characters who are like actually in all like the only one who's like gen- there's only like maybe four characters who might be genuinely good people, but other than that, like it's like it shows everyone has problems. Everyone's not like developing. And after the
Yeah.
last season, not how this season ended, I'm like, oh, things are really gonna be different. And I'm happy I did stop watching because I'm like, oh, you guys probably would have shitted on Jinx the whole time, or you guys would have had a complete flip around on her personality, flip on your personality. Like, oh, she's a cool character. It's like, no, no, shut the fuck up. You didn't like her before. You don't. You should like her now.
Yeah.
But no, after that, I was like, oh, I'm done with you guys. Like, I watched you guys through everything, even like through his crappy opinions. But I think that one was just like, no, I'm done. Because, like I said, it was the signs were there, and I don't know how you can just watch a show and not see that.
I guess you don't really realize how significant the term vibe, like we're on the same vibe, is. I don't know if you ever heard that.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Uh, it's just having that understanding of something, because it seems like not everybody's on that sort of understanding when it comes to different sorts of media. They'll watch something and just get the complete opposite of what was intended, and you get it, and you could see if they're you could see what the writer intended, but there's always that group of people that just don't seem to understand. I don't understand that. I'm like, what? How could you
I think it's
see this
sometimes it's
think
like
that she's
other
crazy?
media and stuff like has influenced them so much. Like they're just so used to that thing, they can't really. They might not like the differences, like the kind of change, or they never really kind of experienced what maybe this character is going through.
Yeah,
Even then, you don't have to experience to understand what's happening. I feel.
yeah. If it's presented in such a way, you could see it and just like you. I don't know. It's hard for me to explain it because it's more like a feeling than a actual understanding of it.
I
Like you
know.
can kind of feel if it's done right, you can feel what the character's feeling. You get what their intentions were.
Yeah.
Um, like you were saying, you're saying it's like it was what she intended, which was the main thing. Not she. It's like, oh well, she could have been doing it this way, and it's like no, she's a little girl. She didn't see it that way. She was doing what she thought was right, and she got penalized for it. That was what the show was trying to show you, but apparently they just didn't see it that way.
And I know if I
I don't
met
know. It
anyone who would.
infuriates me.
I know if I meet anyone who tries to say, "Oh, well, they're reactors, they're reacting to it," I'm like, they're watching it the first time, and if they go back, maybe they'll think differently. I'm like, I watched it on my first time, I understood immediately. Don't give me that. Like I watched that, and I watched it the first time, I understood immediately what was happening. You can't use the reactor as an excuse.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, I'm watching a. Me and my roommates are watching the entirety of the old Batman movies. That was a voice crack. We're watching we're watching the old Batman movies. Well, not movies, but the show.
You mean the
The
cartoons?
Yeah, the cartoons.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And the like the the original one.
Like
I say original.
you
The
mean the
one where he's
'90s?
just like, yeah, the
Yeah,
one's like, I am vengeance, I am the night,
yeah,
I am Batman, and then it's like a thunderbolt or something. Yeah,
yeah.
we're watching that one now, and like, I get it. You know, I get what's going on in the show. It's pretty good so far. Uh, a thing I like to do though is I like to like laugh at a lot of the stuff because it is like a cartoon, and a lot of the stuff is just kind of supposed to be like implied. But if I were reacting to it, I would just be poking fun at it instead of just, just super enjoying it. I'm not saying that all React channels do this, but maybe with these guys, maybe they're just doing it. Didn't sound like they are, but I don't
No,
know.
they were not because of how high horse he was on like the whole old person going back to school was weird, and he even said that in the comments. And I'm like, no, this is them being serious because even with some of the stuff they're saying, you can kind of tell with their facial expressions when they're like when they look at like the one dude when he says something like, "Wow," they're like, "Oh, we're not really agreeing with you on this one."
I am honestly just trying to play the devil's advocate. I just because I've seen some React channels where they will do that.
Well, even if they're poking fun, that's still not funny. At that point, it's just you just being an
Yeah,
asshole.
if it's like a sad scene, and you're just trying to poke fun at it. You just look like an asshole.
Uh,
Don't do that.
yeah, but
Honestly, you get the most out of React channels. I can't speak for everybody. For me, I get the most out of React channels when they actually react how I would.
yeah.
Like if there's a sad
Well, like
scene,
that's how
you
these
react
guys
to
did
it.
react because when you watch it, you'd be like, "Oh, yeah," they're as surprised as I was with that.
Um, you remember the show? What was it called? It was pretty popular. Squid Game. That's what it was.
Yeah, I still haven't finished that.
Uh,
I still have 2 episodes left, and I started watching that like I think 2 weeks after it came out, and that was a long time ago.
oh, it's really good.
I know. I have 2 episodes left, so I almost finished it.
Oh, so yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Well, there was a scene in there where there was a girl who was reacting to one of the characters, and honestly, it felt very genuine. And normally, back then, I really didn't care for React channels. I'm not gonna lie, I really didn't. But recently, I've just been kind of getting into them. I don't know why. um, I guess just the feeling to of being able to relate to these
Yeah.
these people. Sort of, it's almost in a way you're indirectly reliving your moment of reacting to these people.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember the girl who was reacting to it. She was like actually starting to cry, and then it's like, this is. I get them, but for the reactors that just have a completely different response, like if a person dies and it's tragic, and you're like, they shouldn't have died, all this other stuff,
Well, it's
they
kind of
shouldn't
like
have died. But then their reaction to it is complete opposite. Like,
yeah.
oh shit, he got domed. Oh my god. Oh, it's like that shit irritates me.
Like I'm not sure if you ever seen it. There's a compilation that someone did of like Dante's dance in Devil May Cry 5 from streamers' perspective. You could tell the difference between people who've played the like pretty much most of the Devil May Cry games from the people who've never played them. Because there's people who like, yep, this is Dante, and there's people like, this is so dumb. Why is this in this game? And it's like, oh yeah,
Obviously, they've never known Dante.
you've never played Devil May Cry. You're a new, but you're also new in a way where I don't think you play a lot of games that could just be silly.
Yeah.
Because even if you've never played Devil May Cry, I'm pretty sure you still would hopefully find this silly because it's Dante.
There was that clip where the guy was saying, if there's anything else stupid, I'm just gonna stop playing the game, and it started showing Dante doing the Michael Jackson dance, and then he just left.
That's like the
The guy just
best.
got up and left the stream.
And it's just like, man, I don't know how you got viewers,
I'm
man.
like, dude, like seriously?
It's Dante. Like even if like just from a couple scenes where you finally meet Dante, you're like, oh, this motherfucker's silly, isn't he?
He's a
Like,
clown,
like
and he
that.
knows he's a
Like
clown.
when you first meet him, not when you meet him through Nero's story. When you first get the chance to play as him, you should already start have an understanding of who Dante is. Like if you go back and you can look up the best way to tell who Dante is as the character is just by showing the first scene, like hit the scene from Devil May Cry 3. Like with the
Yeah,
like that's the best scene to tell this is Dante. They go on that Dante stuff. There was a guy. They were back when Devil May Cry was 5 was coming out, and back that when that was announced, that's when I started getting more into Devil May Cry series by actually looking things. Well, I mean, I already kind of did that, but I got more into it. And a lot of people, even I agree with it, head canon wise, it could be a head canon or it could be canon. A lot of people believe Dante went through depression because of his brother's death and everything that was going on in his life. And I'm like, yeah, that's real. Like if you count like how he was different from each game, you're like, yeah, he probably was going through a form of depression because your brother died. Like you have no family anymore. Like your mom clone might not count.
yeah.
And there's one guy saying, "Oh, that's not believable. Why would Dante go through depression? That's not realistic." And I'm like, "No, he would. Like even the happiest person can go through depression." And
There's
that was just
actually a form of depression, from what I remember learning in college. It's I think it's called like hyper something depression, where it's still the symptoms of depression, but the person is a lot more energized. Is it's not really a great term. You think that they're hyper. You think that they're like since they're more hyper and they're like a lot more outgoing, you would think that they don't have depression when they do. I think Etika was an example of this,
yeah,
where he was just constantly hyper, but it was still like showing he was still showing the symptoms of depression.
yeah,
He just wasn't moody. It's hard for me to explain it, but there is a term for that. And it's just how people process depression.
yeah,
Um, Not everybody. This is gonna sound weird. Not everybody that has depression is depressed in the way that you think they are.
yeah.
People process things differently,
Like
and
believe me, I
I
understand
could
that.
I could see that. I could see that with Dante. I could kind of see that.
And that was the longest hit canon to the point where I'm like, if he came out and said Dante was going through depression in all the games, that's why his personality is different. I'm like, yep, now it's canon. Now there's no way to say it's not. Because
Yeah.
like if you take 3 and just work your way up, you're like you can tell kind of tell Dante was different. And when 5 came around, Dante was pretty much almost back to normal, like almost his 3 self, and that was because of Nero. Like when he beat Nero, he was different a little bit more.
Dante in 3 was a little bit more serious, I think. He was still a clown, but he was more
I think he was more of a clown than
serious.
serious in 3. Like 1, he was like a clown to a degree, but he was serious.
Well, looking at him in the cutscenes where he wasn't like antagonizing the bosses,
And
he
Lady.
seemed serious. He seemed pretty serious, but when it came to like obstacles, he would joke on them. That's just what I got out of it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like scenario. Uh, you're you see him in the scene where he's just like walking, and next thing you know, the who was it? The girl who gives him the I think it's
Lady.
Nevin.
Lady.
Nevin
Wait,
or Lady.
yeah, Lady. Where? I don't even think
No,
that's a character. What?
who's the girl? I think there was the guitar he got was called Nevin. I think.
Oh, I don't remember the guitar name.
Um. Well, yeah, we'll go with Lady, where he seems very serious. Just looking at his facial expression, he seems like he's going through, and then she She just fucking rides a motorcycle through there and then shoots a rocket at him. And the goofy part is him riding on the rocket, but the other part is when she leaves, he just kind of goes back to being serious. Maybe it's just me. Um, I just I just see him as being serious, but when it comes to the look like in the face of danger is when he starts laughing at it almost. He jokes like I think he's joked on all of the bosses in that game. With the exceptions of the clown, Jester.
Yeah, he really hated Jester. Jester, he was not joking. He's like, I
Yeah.
dislike you.
Yeah. He was not goofing on Jester.
He's
Jester
like, I'm a clown, but you are not a clown.
there can only be one clown in this game. Yeah. I mean, he did show some different ones. When it came to Virgil, he didn't really joke on Virgil.
Had a little
He
bit, a
didn't.
little heated debate between them, but more in a Dante way of speaking to him.
I think yeah. I think he was being more cautious. It was more like cautious humor
Also, it's
than
like his
anything.
twin brother, who he hasn't seen in years, is now back, but also about to mess up the world. He's like, bro, man.
You sure know how to throw a party.
Hey.
No drinks, no women. No wait, no drinks, no food, no drinks, and the only girl just left.
You know, I'm like, yep,
And
this
he's like,
is Dante.
Virgil was joking back too, though. Virgil was just like, "I'm sorry, I didn't have preparations for the
That's
bash."
like I hated the fact because I talked to someone earlier and I talked to someone about this and they're like, "Oh, well, Virgil's the edgy dude," and I'm like, "Have you played those games really or
he,
watched any
he,
real videos? Because when you
he's
really
got some
listen to
quirks.
Virgil, Virgil's a dork like Dante to a degree."
Yeah, he's definitely, especially in 5. And if you've played the special edition of Devil May Cry 5, he's got some jokes. I'm
And
not gonna lie, he's
if you
definitely got some
count
jokes.
V, his other version, Virgil's a dork in his own way. He's not like
Oh
Dante.
yeah,
He's like more of a literal literature dork, where the way he acts. And I'm like, he's not edgy. Like, I don't know, like edgy is one of those terms I think died out too. But he the way he is, it's like no, he's a dork too.
whenever I hear edgy, I think of Shadow the Hedgehog.
I don't use edgy for Shadow anymore because even that like ruined it. like
Well, I'm Shadow from Shadow the Hedgehog, the game.
I count the only time I think of edgy, I think of like terribly written Shadow, which for Sonic Boom, where he is just edgy. But then at that point, that's more comedy than actual seriousness.
Yeah.
Like he's written that more as comedy. I'm like, oh, at least that's fine. Just don't.
Death to all who oppose me.
That version, I'm like, I feel like there's a lot of ways they could have written him better. They could have kept like the whole dark evil side, but I'm like, you could have written that a little bit better.
Have you seen that tweet where the person took Riku from Kingdom Hearts? And they said Riku was wildin' in Chain of Memories, and it just took a compilation of all the quotes of him saying like, "I taste darkness. This tastes like darkness. You sound like light," or something like that. And it was just like, wait, what? I remember that. I do. It sounds almost edgy, but it just sounds goofy. It
It's more
has no
goofy and
real.
silly. I don't even know how that's silly. It's more of like, nah, I can maybe to a degree believe he could because he was possessed by a literal guy made out of darkness, kind of.
What does
So,
darkness smell like?
by whatever's
Is the
man.
question.
Who knows what darkness smells like? It has a smell. He can
It's
smell it.
supposed to be like I guess a entity or something.
Maybe.
I don't even know.
Well, I think with the Heartless, probably, by all accounts.
Uh, I
But
think if you really want to laugh at it, watch this channel called Just a Pancake. It's one of those automated voices, but it pretty much makes a spoof of all of the Kingdom Hearts games. It's like, oh yeah, I can now smell darkness. That's pretty funny.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know. Like, spoofs have kind of died out for me. And I think spoofs have
Yeah.
died out for me because Team Forest are. I think Team, like, I think literally, I usually try not to let communities ruin things for me. I always try to tell people don't let communities ruin things for you. But I think Team Four Stars community really ruined spoofs for me.
Wait, their community, not like the actual team?
The team somewhat too, because Lanny, in my opinion, is a jackass. But like they like community and even them because I don't know like people thinking it's fun to constantly quote Team Four Star at you stopped being funny. The joke
Yeah,
stopped being
yeah, I
funny.
get that. I get that.
It doesn't make you funny when you say it quotes too much.
They even made a in their parody of Kai, I think they even made a joke about that very thing, saying I am funny and you will quote everything I say.
And it's true, and they even people quoted that.
Yeah,
And I'm like, oh my
I
fucking
could see
god.
how that would get annoying, yeah.
And even then, like when, hey, back when that one guy, is it Ellis Mark or Mark? Oh, I can't
From
remember.
Death Note?
No,
L?
no, Mark. I said like LS Mark. I can't remember his name.
Oh, totally not Mark?
Yeah, like during the Dragon Ball controversy when he almost lost his whole channel. Like I was happy when he got his back, but then he made a shit take by saying, "Oh well, Team Four Star is why Dragon Ball became popular again," and I'm like, "That's the most stupidest thing I ever heard of someone come out of their mouth." Because Dragon Ball was kind of always kind of popular because they kept making games, and in
It was one of
all
those gateway anime, as you spoke of earlier.
and in all honesty, Kai is probably what resurgence people. And even then, the movie, the Dragon Ball Battle of the Gods, is what brought people back. Is what made the community explode again. To say Team Four Star did it themselves really kind of just, I don't know, puts them high on a pedestal they don't really need to be on. Because I like the series. Team Four Star was funny. But I'm not gonna put them that high to say they're the reason why Dragon Ball became popular again. And the fact so many people were trying to defend that and not understand why people were upset by it was astounding to me. It's like, no, people is upset because it's a stupid thing to say. All Team Four Star did, by all accounts, was just take audio and just change it. And yeah, they might add little Photoshop things here and there, or like actually, or later on in the series one, later on kind of animate something different, which is good. They later on try to change how they think, how they do things. But to start off, they didn't. So you can't just be like, they are the reason why for X. And it's like, no, no, no. That's just that kind of disrespect to everything else that like have been happened since then. And it's like, no, Kai, Reese. Like I've met people who literally are like, oh, Kai got me into Dragon Ball. And it's like, I don't hear. I've never heard someone say Team Four Star got them into Dragon Ball. Like there might
I,
be people like
I
that, but I've never heard of it.
well, I don't think that they would. Um, it is kind of weird just in a social setting to say like, "Oh, a parody got me into the main show," when you know, like by nature, the parody is just a parody.
I
You
mean, I
know,
met someone who never knew Dragon Ball was existed. They thought Dragon Ball Abridged was the actual show.
if I were to look on both sides, there were some aspects that I think Team Four Star did better than the original. Now, hear me out. I will say that I think Mark pointed this out too, and I kind of agreed with him. Was the Krillin and 18 relationship?
Oh yeah, they did
They
do that better. Like I'm
they
not gonna
they
deny
did that
that.
a little bit better. They showed that Krillin had because in the show it seemed like they just kind of got together after all of that. I guess if you watched it, you would just kind of expect as much.
But I think really
Uh,
with that more of
but
like Toriyama just didn't know how to write romance. In all honesty, he really doesn't.
yeah. Um, I'm not saying that it would get like Team Four Star as the group would get people into watching Dragon Ball Z, but it did seem to stretch to a broader audience that didn't really watch the show or understand the show. But at the same time, it doesn't take away from the show itself.
Yeah.
If you wanted to watch the show, then you watch the show and you get your own because the parody's totally different. Yeah, you have I mean they've cut the fights down. They've cut a lot of the big important parts down just for the sake of humor. But if you watch the show, you get a lot other stuff out of it. So I kind of see both sides, but I also see what you're saying is just like I haven't actually heard anybody say that the parody actually got them into the show.
Like I said, those people
That'd
probably
be a weird thing
exist.
to say.
Like those people probably exist, but I don't think there are as many as Mark made about the bee.
Yeah, I would say that they if they did if a parody I feel like a parody wouldn't get a person invested into a show to watch it in its entirety as it would just to watch the show like the big parts,
Yeah.
like the big fights.
Especially in the sense of what you said with the Krillin 18 thing. It does
Mhm.
backfire because people might be expecting that kind of. Some people, I shouldn't say everyone, but like some people might be expecting that kind of development like that
Yeah.
in the show when in reality it really wasn't. Also, they've
Yeah.
made memes that became horrible and they try forcing as that as canon, like Goku bad dad or Piccolo is his dad. That used to be just
Which
joke, and then it got ruined by people who really believed it. And it's like
yeah.
you guys
Goku
made the
didn't
community
care.
actually like the Dragon Ball community is already bad. It was already bad. It already had issues. But Team Four Star, I don't. Someone could fight me on this. I will say it made it worse. It made it worse. It made it even more bad than it did before Super came out.
Yeah. Well,
Because the Piccolo
I don't know.
dad joke was a joke. No one really like. I feel like a lot of people didn't believe that because they're like, Goku's not the best dad, but he's not a terrible parent. He does care about his kids. He does care
Yeah.
about his wife.
If you've watched the show, you would see that. But if you're I think if you're what's the word I'm looking for? If you're prone to seeing another form of media before you saw the actual show, it would already create a bias in you thinking like 'cause if you've seen the parody before you saw the actual show, that would probably create a bias for you. I'm not saying you, as in
But
just saying
even
for the viewer.
but even
It
then,
would
I
create a
think there are
bias into to under like interpreting Goku's relationship with Gohan as being a bad father. So I think that if like a person were to watch the parody first without understanding any of the nuance with it all,
mhm.
they yeah, it would make the relationship worse because they would already have a sort of preconceived notion of the kind of person that Goku is given the parody that they've seen prior. Now, if they've seen
The show
the
first.
the show first, then they would probably think like, "Oh yeah, I get it. It's a parody. I get it. It's funny. Haha. That's it."
But the
But for
thing
the people that have seen the parody first, that they probably actually think that's true.
but the thing is, Reeps, you have to take into account stuff like that can influence people who already watched the show. They could just
Well, I
misremember
don't know.
things
I
and
can't
think
speak for them.
they will misremember things and think, actually, yeah, Goku is a bad dad. Like I remember this
Goku's a
scene.
fucking dick, man.
Like those people, like they like that will change their memories. So when they re-see the scene, like yeah, Goku is a bad dad. Like no, I agree. Or Piccolo really is Gohan's dad. Where I'm like, Piccolo's more of like an older brother than anything else.
Yeah.
But like that shit just went like from like to see that it just was one of those statements of like Bark. That's
The
stupid.
parody is a misrepresentation of the show.
Like I
Which I mean, by nature, yeah, that is what a parody is. But
yeah.
I see what you're saying, because people would take it too far and they would assume that that's how the show is,
Like I
or
think
that's the actual context of the show.
when it came to what Mark said, it would have been better if he said, along with the games and along with the games, Team Four Star did help Dragon Ball community stay afloat or resurge for a bit. If he brought up the games too, that would help. But the fact he tried making it seem like it was the be all end all with his statement, it really wasn't a good statement. And like I said,
Yeah.
for people to act like for people to really act like, oh well, Dragon Ball community is just being toxic. It's like, oh no, the Dragon Ball community probably is being toxic. That's just one side of it. But there are people here who actually are like, no, Mark's statement's pretty stupid, and here's why. Let me explain.
Yeah.
Like, for people just
I
to push it apart, it just always was like, what the fuck.
I honestly don't know what kind of person Mark is. I've seen a few of his videos, but I
I don't
mean,
think he's a bad guy. I'm not gonna just say that, but because even people who are
honestly,
good
the
can have
last
shit
thing
takes.
I was about to say, honestly, the last thing I've heard from him was his channel getting like striked, pretty much.
Yeah.
That was honestly the last thing I heard of him, which is unfortunate. But I mean, yeah, like you said, people even who are very knowledgeable or good people have shit takes. Nobody's perfect,
Yeah.
you know.
And yeah, I was like
So
that. I was a shit take
I
guy.
get that too. I get that too.
Yeah, but well.
I guess some things are just better left unsaid. But I guess for the sake of content, they just say it anyway and just piss a lot of people off.
Actually, on that aspect of pissing people off, do you know I got called a gatekeeper on Twitter?
For what?
Okay, there was a cosplayer who dressed up as a character from Chainsaw Man, and she's like, "Oh, she's such a great character." But then in another tweet, a retweet of that thing, she said, "Oh my god, I finished Chainsaw Man. This character is terrible. I hate the fact I cosplay as her." Like someone retweeted that image of like that whole conversation, and all I said was,
Wait, the cosplayer?
"Yeah,
Wait a minute.
the cosplayer
Why
realized,
would you
huh?
why would you take the time to create the cosplay for a character you don't like? You eventually don't. What? You didn't watch the show or
Well,
read the book?
people tried defending, saying, "Oh, well, she was still reading it," and I'm like, Chainsaw Man is not that long. You can finish that really quick, and also the character, you can kind of tell she's not a good person. I don't know why you think, oh, because she's really tough and really like not like, oh, she's girl boss. And I'm like, I hate that. No, no, that's not a good enough reason, but whatever. But all I said was I wasn't getting on her. I wasn't getting on the girl for it. All I said was, for quote, I don't understand why people will cosplay as something they haven't finished or never watched. It doesn't make sense to me. At least take the time to read a synopsis. I mean, either watch or read the show, or read a synopsis, or before you really say you want to cosplay as this character. That's all I said. And a lot of people were agreeing, and other people are like, "Oh well, yeah, people are fake and stuff like that." And I'm like, "Yeah, there are people who are posers, but there was a group of people who proceeded to call me a gatekeeper and say and try defending her by like, oh well, she didn't finish it, and I'm like, whatever, but fine, whatever. But the people called me gatekeeper. There was people being like, oh, you're a loser, just call yourself a loser and leave, or this guy's gatekeeping. I'm like, I wasn't gatekeeping. You can do it. I don't see the point, but you can do it. Just don't be mad when someone calls you out for it.
From their perspective, they probably thought that you were saying that
Dude, my
wasn't
whole
she shouldn't
sentence.
have.
But the problem was my whole sentence was very easy to understand.
No, yeah, and I get it. Remember that thing we were talking about earlier? Some people just don't get context.
I don't even know how you could even not get that context because it was written so well made. I didn't even have any
Uh,
spelling mistakes.
from their perspective, they probably read like two words and just immediately just thought, oh well, this person, in their mind they process it as this person says she can't cosplay this character if she hasn't seen the show. That's probably how they process that. They didn't read the whole thing. They didn't get their glasses, their reading glasses. They didn't sit down. They didn't get a puff of their vape pen. They didn't just just sit down and just do some critical thinking. do some mathematic equations on the side before they read that shit, but they decided to read it anyway, and they completely misinterpreted it. And that's what it sounds like. They probably just read it like this person can't cosplay if she hasn't seen the show. That's what it sounds like. That's probably to them what it sounds like. Not saying in general.
Like I did forgot because I just
And that's unfortunately just the people you're gonna have to deal with. It sucks ass because they fucking stupid. But
like let me see. I'm trying to find it because it wasn't. It was like last week I think when it all happened, and I was just like, I wasn't even rude about it. All I said was.
No,
I know, I know what you're saying. I know you get it, but it's just like it baffled me that much because I wasn't mad, I wasn't upset, or even annoyed. I was just baffled. I was just like, really?
And my first response to that was, why would you take the time to cosplay this? Now, if this is the cosplayer that I'm kind of thinking of, I'm not thinking of a specific person per se. I'm thinking of just the in general, because I mean, people cosplay and they'll post it on Twitter. Typically, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. They you could tell they put in a lot of work. But why would you put in all this possible work to cosplay a character that you still are reading about and still don't have a full grasp? Okay, I get it. Like, I get it. You like the character's design. I get it from that perspective. But to say that you've regretted cosplaying the person because of their personality shows an extra tier of dedication. You're showing that you actually care about this character's, like, the character itself. So the fact that you spent so much time cosplaying this character and you haven't even fully understood the character that you're cosplaying. I get what you're saying to that degree, but I think from the people who were reading it, they probably thought that you were just saying, "Oh, well, you're just gatekeeping because the person needs to they need to read the book to understand the cosplay," which is also stupid. Well, no,
like I said,
I don't know.
Like I said,
get it.
from my perspective, like I said, I don't care if you don't
I
read
agree
it at
with
all.
you.
I just say,
I'm
don't
just
be
gonna. I
mad.
agree with you.
Just don't be
I
mad when
agree with
someone like calls you out for it. Like calls you a
it's
poser because they're like, wait, you haven't finished the series or you've never read it. Then why you cosplay him? Oh, I just like him. It's just like, but I wanted like, and that's fine. That's fine to do that. But just don't be like a little weirded out when someone kind of is like, what the fuck? Why would he do that?
You know,
Like
I
I
read
wanted to
Mein
talk to about
Kampf.
you, huh?
I read Mein Kampf, and Hitler was not such a bad guy. I think I'm gonna cosplay him next year.
I
Oh
mean,
my god! I heard fucking what Hitler did. Oh my god! I regret cosplaying him.
that'd be so weird if someone did that. I would be like, what the fuck?
No, I'm just giving an example,
You know someone would
an
do that though.
analogy of sorts.
Uh,
Yeah,
I
that's kind of what it sounds like. That's how I'm interpreting this.
One person I know from this tweet made a good point of saying going off a hype, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That's how like a lot of artists. That's what at least Twitter artists do a lot.
A lot of artists do that shit. I mean, it gets tiring.
In my opinion, it's just
I
annoying. I don't mind seeing art, but at the same time, I'm like, you guys should just draw what you want at this point now. Like, you don't have to go off
yeah.
hype. I don't know the point. I know you want
I
exposure
mean,
and stuff, but I mean, drawing your
like
own
that
stuff's nice too.
that bowling pin thing that you're seeing that you may have seen on Twitter.
Yeah, I saw
The,
that.
that's so stupid. I've seen that, and I don't know. Part of me is just curious if that's legit, but it's so outrageous. I just can't think. I was like, that's not legit. Somebody just made that. But I've been to some bowling alleys, and I've seen some pretty interesting animations of when you get a strike. I don't know who makes these animations.
But I
They're just very outrageous. You ever get something that is so outrageous, you kind of have to do a double take and just
yeah.
kind of think, like, is that real? And this is one of those. It was like, I saw that, and I was like, this is just, honestly, this is just too outrageous. I doubt that they would put something like this. But the fact that people all started biting onto it, and I'm starting to see a lot of artists post it. I'm like, how did this get so popular?
I
Like
think it's
it's a
just because it's
freaking
wild and weird. It's like, what?
it is weird. I'm seeing some artists doing redesigns. We're making an entire character dedicated to the bowling pin and the bowling ball, which is just silly. Um, but yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw that, I had to do a double take. I was like, "Is this real? This is so stupid. This can't be real. I can't believe this is real."
Like, but from looking at my tweet again, I had to go back and check. There were people like. Here's the thing. I think some people thought I was gonna get ratio for my tweet, but the fact is 407 likes, 5 quote tweets, and 19 retweets. I'm like, oh no, I'm fine. But I remember here's some of the quotes though from people. Like, I'm not gonna put the ones that people saying, "Oh, that she didn't finish it," because I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, man. You can use that excuse. It's fine. But like some people simply were like thought I didn't understand cosplaying for fun because like one person's like where was it? Oh, because it's fun. I make fan art sometimes before I finish a series. It's the same thing here. And I'm just like, I don't. My point wasn't the fact of like hurting her or being rude. All I said was one thing. And even in if it's an ongoing series, yeah, people are gonna make fan art of it. Like you're not gonna just wait until the series finishes because that might be forever.
The Yeah, you were responding to her comment of saying, "I regret doing this." That means that she cares about this character. She stated that she apparently cares enough about this character to regret cosplaying them. If she didn't, then she would have just left it to where it was.
Yeah.
Hey, I cosplayed this character. Haha. I look cute in this outfit. But the fact that she stated specifically that, "Oh, I watched or I read this and I was into this character, but now I'm not." That shows that she is invested enough into this character to base the cosplay off on them. And you called her out on it, and apparently people
I was
are
even
thinking that that's gatekeeping.
I wasn't even calling out on it. I was just making a general statement in general of people just who do that.
Yeah.
And even then, it was just like I have homie gatekeeping cosplay. You're 27 gatekeeping cosplay, and I'm like, how does my age have anything? How's my age an insult to you? I don't. How's age, my bringing up my age insulting me? I don't. I don't.
Because that's all they can go
Well,
for.
I get insulting someone for their age depending on the situation. Like if someone gets overly mad over a cartoon for kids, I'm like, dude, calm down. You're like 30, chill out. Like at that point, yes, but you get cosplay at any age, so I don't see the point of like bringing up my age in that point. But
Honestly, I think they're just grasping at straws.
actually, that bitch is 23. I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. She's not that far from my age. She needs to calm down, or they need to calm down. I don't know their gender, so whatever.
Whatever it takes to try to get at you.
And then I have just say you're a loser and move on. Like nothing got to me. Everything was more just. I think, like I said, everything was just more baffling to me. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like what? Oh well, fuck. Everyone, all the quote sheets are like locked. Never mind. I remember finding one quote sheet of just someone else calling me a gatekeeper, and I'm just like, man, I've never been called a gatekeeper before. Have I made it up in the world now on Twitter? Actually, I have, and I got blocked by people. I'm like, oh, I got blocked by them. Oh, I'm making up in the world. But no, that was just so baffling to me. That was like, God, really? I'm a gatekeeper? I hate gatekeeping.
Honestly, I think the more you think about it, the more it's gonna bury its way in. So I just
It
crack
does,
it up as just people being dumb.
like I said, it's just more baffling to me. I haven't thought about it since then. I just wanted to bring it up on the podcast because I was just like, man, that's happened. That's a new thing to add to my list of. Well, that finally happened.
I'm apparently a gatekeeper.
Like I've said, I'm one of the people who adamant says gatekeeping really doesn't work anymore. It's a failed concept because at that point you're gate. Because I've seen because every time I hear people say you should gatekeep your stuff, I'm like, you guys don't understand the double-edged sword of that.
I was about to say, what's the positive to gatekeeping?
Because it'll save people from ruining the stuff you like, and I'm like, but then you make it hard for people to get into it.
Yeah, if you try to stop people from getting into it, then it's just gonna remain
It's a
unpopular.
double-edged sword.
Yeah,
You don't like, and that's the thing. People don't. Here's the thing: if all these people, if my podcast ever becomes popular, and someone comes at me saying, "Oh, well, you said that," I'm like, "Yeah," because it is a double-edged sword, and I don't want. And you can't just be like, you. How am I gonna word this? You can't think. You can't just be like, "Oh, well, we're protecting it," when you're making it hard for other people. It's because I've been in communities and I've seen gatekeeping. It's not fun to be gatekeep, especially when you know the series.
yeah.
And it's like people try and be like, "Oh, well, you need to know it super well," and I'm like, "No, I don't have. I don't. I need to know it well, but I don't need to have super well. I don't know what super well means because I love Jujutsu Kaisen, but god damn, it's hard for me to pronounce some of their names or even remember how to say their names. I know what each character looks like. Yeah, I know the story
Yeah.
like the back of my hand. So,
Not everybody's
should I not?
really gonna.
Hmm?
I mean, not everybody's gonna care about all the intricacies of every single show.
Yeah,
You know, some like I guess I get what you're saying with the people. Like, if you get too many people that like something, then it becomes a little mainstream, and then the creator. I'm not saying all creators, but I've seen this before where the creator, if something becomes a little too mainstream, the creator will try to appease to the mainstream audience over the core audience.
like
And then it just turns to shit. I get that.
I feel like that's more of a I hate using the Western Eastern term. Maybe more Western, but even then, a lot of people are like not a lot, but there's starting to be a more breakout of no, no, we're not going to listen to the fan. We're not going to listen to these people because like
Yeah.
more than likely the people who do complain about the small thing or like who cares are usually a small group compared to people who actually like the thing. And even then, those people are going to give you money so they can play it and complain about it, which is the thing people do. So don't worry, who cares? But like Japanese audience
Yeah.
really, at least when it comes to like Japanese manga and stuff like that, they really don't back down. Like the only time it really happened was probably with Hirokoshi My Hero, when people complained about him naming a villain after a horrible person in Chinese history. And I'm like, but the guy
What
he named him after a real mean villain.
have you seen that thing on Twitter with the person saying that I don't like how they sexualize kids, and it was like a father playing with his daughter?
Yes, it was Spy X Kid. That's Spy X Kid,
Oh
Spy X Family.
my. I looked into that and I'm like, this is a really shit take.
Oh no, it was like not even really. It was. There was.
This is a really shit
It
take.
was just blatantly. Either this
You
is
can't
bait
even
or you're
hold your
stupid.
you can't even hold your daughter anymore. You can't even love your kids without
And
it being sexual. Fucking hell.
at that point, that's something wrong with you.
And
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 not like
and my
fictional characters. It's like, no, there's something wrong with you mentally, and you probably shouldn't be around children because that's weird that you
it
think
was
that's sexual.
my favorite comment is just like the person who commented saying how to know the person who posted this didn't have a father figure.
I'll be honest with those tweets. I don't like those tweets anymore because I'm like, I didn't really grow up with a father figure, and I turned out fine. I grew up with like my mom and my grandmother raised me, so I'm just like,
I get it, yeah.
I
No,
don't like. I never
no.
like those comments anymore because I'm like, it kind of disrespects like people who did not grow up with one and they turned out not like these people.
Yeah. I get what
Also,
you're
it's kind
saying.
of shitty to say that the people who are probably like, also it's a shitty statement to say when you have people who, lesbians who probably want to raise kids on their own. So by saying they don't gonna grow up, they're not gonna grow up with a father, they're gonna be bad. And I'm like, man, some of you guys really don't think about what you tweet, do you?
They're gonna be really shitty people who make posts on Twitter about anime out like takes. Yeah,
But
that's
but
no.
no,
I
oh,
get what you're saying.
I remember the guy. Like I don't care if I say his name, Black Sage. Like even Feline's seen him before because I showed him the tweet from him. Because he made a tweet saying how mainstream anime is bad, and he put a list of the mainstream anime like Naruto, Dragon Ball, a whole bunch of series. But he put Gundam on there. I'm like, Gundam's not really that mainstream. And then Ghost of Shell, I'm like, Ghost Shell's really not mainstream.
No, it's not.
Well, one of the guys in my comments, like one guy who follows me, was trying to defend it by saying, "Well, it had a movie," and I'm like, "Just because Ghost of Shell had a movie doesn't mean it's mainstream." Full Metal
No, no, it
Alchemist had a
doesn't. No.
movie, and I don't see people constantly talking about Full Metal Alchemist. Full Metal Alchemist is a popular series, but Jesus Christ, like, calm down. Like, he didn't put Full Metal Alchemist up on there, so I don't know what you mean. Like, I remember that tweet in every, like, here's the thing about that guy. I didn't like him, but I thought a lot more people liked him because of how my feed used to be. But then when he did that, I saw so many people I follow were like, shut up, this is why people don't like you. And I'm like, wait, my justification for not liking him is real? And there's a lot more people who don't like him? Cool. But no, for him to be like gatekeeping anime by saying if you watch Dragon Ball or My Hero or Naruto, you're not a real fan of anime. And I'm like, those are like what I said earlier. Kind of break it, and I forgot what I used. Breakthrough anime, maybe was that it? Whichever. But like, anime to get people into anime. These are the stepping stones that get people into it. Start mainstream and then start asking or start looking for things outside of it. Like, these series help people get into the series. And yes, obviously you're going to get your toxic people, no matter what community you're in. Don't act. It's going to happen. No matter what community you're in, it has the toxic people. That's why every time people say, "Oh, well, they're not really toxic," like, no, they're there. You just haven't seen them, but they're there. Like, they're just in the shadows right now. Like, you're not on your feed, so you're fine.
They're shouting, but you don't hear them yet. You get enough of them, and you'll start to hear them, and then you'll be like, "Wow, this is really shitty."
Believe me, if you be like me, Reaps, and join the manga community, you really see it.
I ain't doing that. I ain't doing none of that. After all the shit you told me, I ain't go.
Believe me,
the
the problem I have is that I need to stop scrolling down and reading comments, or I'm like, man, you guys really aren't reading the same series I am. But that was.
They're reading the first couple of chapters, and they're just like, "Yeah, I got a strong opinion on it."
Or like the series goes in a different direction that gets more interesting, and they don't like it, or they misunderstand what's going on.
Oh my god.
Oh man, especially with My Hero right now, Jesus Christ, or Jesus.
It's a mess.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, man. It's just when it comes to people, I never understand like their mentality when it comes to things. Even though I've been trying to. It's still like, it's fun to experiment. And if I had the chance to, I would love to do a legit like a real psychological experiment on Twitter. But that would be, I don't know if I could do it. I probably would need like a crack team of people to be like, well, look, check every side of like each pop culture Twitter. But that would, because that's a mental task onto itself.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it is.
I would need a team of people for that. Because that's a project. That's a dedicated project. Because Twitter is a cesspool. People say Tumblr was, and Tumblr, I'm not sure. I still have my Tumblr, and like, it's pretty chill now. But that's because everyone moved over.
Elon Musk will save us.
Hey man, Elon Musk can't save us because people called him a pedo because he was dating a girl, I think, like, who was like 28 or 25 or something, and he was like in his 30s.
Wait, isn't that of age still?
Yes. Yes, Reaps, it is.
So I guess adults can't date younger people because, like, 20 years ago.
Yes, Reaps, that's not real. These are teenagers really saying this.
Adrian, he's like redeeming oof a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's no, that is a thing. No, I wouldn't put that past people. That's stupid.
It's like,
why would you do this?
It's like, they're adults. She's like 4 or 5 years younger. That's fine, as long as it's not like below the age of 18. I do not care. I mean, I might find it weird depending on how big the gap is, and by how big the gap is if you're 18, 19 and you're dating someone pretty older. That's like, oh, that's a little weird, but all right.
Well, sure. Don't people in Hollywood do that too?
Yeah. Oh, actually,
yeah.
I have a story to tell. Back when I was working in college, I worked like the desk in the dorm, so I'll like check people's IDs and stuff to make sure they are signing guests and stuff like that. I remember there was a girl who came in at like late at night because I took night shift, so it was like maybe 1 a.m. and I was just talking to one of my friends at the desk, and this girl came in with her. I thought was her dad, and she's like, "Oh, I'm signing him in." I'm like, "Well, they're not the same skin tone, but oh, maybe she's mixed. Like, her, she took more on the mom's side, or something like that, or stepdad, or something like that, whatever." And
Yeah.
then they went up to her room. I'm like, "Oh, she's probably helping her or something." I mean, both me and her looked at each other weird, like, but I'm like, "Nah, that's probably not a relationship. That's probably not." But when she came back, her hair was wet, and she was dressed kind of more in pajama pant clothing. And
Oh
I'm like,
dear.
and it was like hours later.
Oh.
Like, it was 3 a.m. I think when they finally left. And I was like, and my friend was still there because I remember she was doing homework or something, so she was trying to stay up. But we were both like, and then when he was about to leave, they kissed and he walked away, and I was like, oh, that guy's old enough to be her dad. And I was like, but I'm like, okay, she wouldn't do that if she wasn't 18, because I would, and I hope to God she was 18, because at that point I'm like, oh man, did I break a law by letting this man come in here?
If they're 18,
It's legal.
it's legal.
It's
I mean,
weird, but it's illegal at that point.
do you know the age of consent in Japan?
Actually, a lot of people have came up and talked about that recently, and they're like, age of consent is that, but the law is still, but people still will judge you if you do something weird.
Yeah.
If you try doing something before they're 18, they still will judge you for that.
Let me look.
So they give
The
credit.
the age of consent in Japan is 13 years old,
Huh.
and it's
I've
still in
always,
play.
people really did downplay that. People,
It
I've
is.
heard always people say it was 16 or 14 or 15, huh?
It's 13.
I didn't know it was that low.
It is 13.
But from what I've learned and like at least listened to people who really do talk about that stuff, they're like, Japan really does, they that law still is in place, but a lot of people don't do it anymore. Don't really follow that through. And if they do, they actually will be kind of judged look differently. They're like, that's wrong, guy.
This person hit different.
You said that, Reaps. Why did you? That's like, Reese, be happy we are not popular. Be happy I only have one view on my thing right now. Because if we were popular, someone would cut that, Reeps. Someone will cut that thing you said and use that one day against you when you do something stupid. Or when they're mad, or when you say something they don't like. For what you just...
Well, you know what? They'd send it against me. Oh, it'll happen eventually when I get super famous. It'll happen. It'll be used against me, and hopefully they'll take this part of me saying it'll be used against me to combat that.
Well, you just archive this and just be like, yeah, here's this thing from years ago.
I'm not for that, but
Yeah.
I still think it's insane to think about. 13, really? 13? You mean you can marry a 40 or 50-year-old guy at 13? Like, you're not even finished growing yet. Jesus.
Hey man, other countries are weird, man. They still have laws that they should have gotten rid of a long time ago.
When did that get established? I'm just curious. Like, at what point in time?
Before the invention of trains, and probably when horse carriages were still a thing.
Oh dear God, feudal era.
Actually, you're probably correct.
Yeah.
Actually, probably even before feudal era. Actually, most definitely before feudal era.
I honestly don't know. Honestly, I found the feudal era kind of boring. But that's
it's been overused.
That's a different story.
Yeah, but that was one of those like, oh man, that was a weird experience I had, and I was just like, just go about my day. If she's 18, it's all good. It's weird. I think she should maybe date someone at least a 4 years difference to be fine. But oof, that's like, I thought that was your dad.
No, it's legal, but I will judge you.
Yes, I will.
Because yeah.
Because I hope I'd be like, that's weird, and I kind of partially hope you're dating that girl for good reasons and not because of weird ones.
there are some.
Because if you are, I have to call the police.
There's some. It's not just the guys either. There's some women out
Oh
there
no!
that
Oh,
date
what
young
what
guys.
you
Cougars.
said? What you're saying reminded me of a video I used to watch where a guy used to read Reddit stuff, and like he used to read nice girl like you know how there's the nice guys, there's the nice girls also.
There's a nice girls.
You didn't know that?
I mean, it makes sense logically,
I'll
but
send
I
you I'll send you some videos later.
nice
But
girl.
there was
Girls who never got rejected. I'm guessing.
no nice girls who've been rejected, but also never
Oh,
been rejected. Here's one thing he read. Here's one thing he read from a tweet where he says, "A nice guy will threaten to kill you or probably kill you. A nice girl will frame you for murder."
no, I have heard that. I've heard that happen. Ooh, that's
But
nice.
he read a quote from someone a nice from the nice girl Twitter from nice girl Reddit that said, "Oh, don't worry, girl. Your true love house wasn't even born yet." And he was like, "What the fuck? If a guy said that, they will be arrested on the spot."
Double standards. Double standards, I tell you.
Like I think if I heard anyone say that, like out in public, I think even for me as someone who's usually quiet and try to chill out, I would be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Oh, thanks, Adrian.
Like think about
Uh,
hearing that. You're like you'd be like your whole meal's like think about eating in a restaurant. You're like, "Oh, my whole meal's ruined. Take this
oh
to
my
go,
god.
because I don't want to be here anymore." Yeah, I was like, oof, oof. I was like, oh, I need to know that. I didn't know that was a quote. I hope. Sad part is, there's probably people who think like that, and that's weird.
There are women out there that just don't understand how to take rejection. I,
I mean, there's guys who don't understand.
this is
Both
there
genders
are
don't
guys.
know how
Yeah,
to stay.
but yeah. No fucking kidding. There are some creepy ass guys out there too.
Like, don't get me wrong.
Uh,
I couldn't a little bit, but at the same time, I at least try to be chill about it. Like, yeah, I'm really still into you, but I know you're not me.
it's never easy. It's never easy. You be chill about it, but you're like crying inside.
I mean, that happened to me with one girl, and I was just like, I really liked you. God damn it.
No, it happened. It happened to me too. It had, yeah.
Do you know?
It's not a good
No, I don't know
feeling.
why I say do you know. You don't know, but I there was a girl I met back when I first started working, like first working in general and making money. I I was into her, but I think I knew what also made me more into her because I realized she unlocked my love for girls with muscles because I didn't know that, and I didn't realize that until like a couple days ago, where I was just sitting in the bathroom just thinking about my thoughts, and I'm like, wait a minute, where did my love for muscle girls come from? And I remembered her, and I'm like, oh my god, a fictional character didn't do it, a girl did.
Hey, there was a pretty interesting comment that I seen where the person was just like the girls you see on OnlyFans, and it was comparing. It said the regular like the boring girl you see on OnlyFans and the big titty goth girl you see working at GameStop. Like, I mean, shit. Not all of them. You might not think it, but honestly, in my experience, I've seen more like curvy girls outside of like the OnlyFans, and it's weird. Now, I don't really, I'm not prescribed to any OnlyFans. I don't personally believe in doing that. I would just watch porn if I wanted to see that kind of stuff.
I mean, even
But in
then,
my experience,
kind of porn's
I
kind of
mean,
starting to fall apart because of OnlyFans,
that's that's true. But
which
yeah,
sucks.
look at the vintage shit, man. But no, I mean, yeah, but just there's some girls you can just go out every day and just see them, and they're a lot more attractive. I feel like a shallow asshole for saying that, but to me, they just some girls you just come across, they're just a lot more attractive. Not saying that
Well, at that point, it's
I
more of like based on how you feel, like what you're attracted to.
yeah. Not saying that just because they're attractive, you'd have any chance with them,
Yeah.
but still, I mean, there's always a chance. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know. I don't really know what some of these people do. The whole OnlyFans thing. It's like some girls, I guess guys too. I haven't really been looking up guy content.
Wait a minute, Reeves. How did we get to this?
I honestly don't know,
I
but I
actually
kind of
don't
want to
know
talk about
either.
it. I
Because I
kind
was
of want
talking
to
about
talk
like
about
my realization for Muscle Girl love, and then we went on that. I'm like, wait a minute. Usually all those stuff had like a
let's
transition. This kind of just happened. I don't know what just happened. I felt like
let's talk about dicks.
I feel like we just had like
No,
I feel like we just went like a skipped like I feel like we were jump cut something for a second. Like we missed like there's a part of our story missing.
let's go back to the muscle girls.
Like I don't
But I
know.
have kind of had the whole thing on. I have had that on my mind. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, you can talk
Just
about it. It
just
was just like it just felt like so like I don't know. Like I felt like we skipped something. I was like, wait a minute. I was
it
listening, and then
is.
it jumped into my brain. I'm like, did we skip
Wait a
somewhere?
minute. I guess the better question would be the thought process of just giving up everything and just making an OnlyFans. What
Money.
what? Just
You
money?
will
That's it.
make. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Reefs. People are desperate and sad, and they will think a girl will give them that attention, and also if they throw money at them. Why
And
do
then
you think
just
there's so many
fuck.
Twitch thoughts? I said that, yes, I said that, but my channel's so small, it's not gonna be deleted. Proceeds to my Twitch getting deleted. It did not get deleted, so we're good.
Instantly canceled.
Hey man, I mean, if they cancel me for saying Twitch thought, that just proves my point of that they are simps. Said another
Yeah,
thing.
we were talking about that. Just it's not all their fault. The if the guy or girl wants to throw down $1,000 just to tell this person hi, then they're equally to blame. They really are.
Oh
It's not
no, they are.
entirely. You don't have to agree with the Twitch thoughts, but you also kind of have to put the blame on the
Oh no, they do
dumb
get
dumb dude.
they do get blamed because they're just supporting this type of behavior and like
Yeah,
thinking it's okay. It's like no, I mean,
but people can also think for themselves,
yeah.
and if these people are choosing to do this, like to throw down all this money to do this, that's also on them.
Mind you, I wish they'd give me that money because I'm like, where are you getting all this fucking money? Like, I want
What
that money.
the fucking the furries with weird amounts of money, like really?
Actually, actually, I started learning more about that. A lot of them are actually real professionals in jobs. Like, there's one who's like a space engineer,
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, okay, a lot of
there was
you are have jobs, like jobs that make money, huge
you.
amounts.
Have you seen that article a while back that was it was a I think it was a girl who's a furry. She was making jokes. She made a joke on Twitter and the boss had seen it. She was trying to do something and she made a really shitty joke and the boss saw it and he was just like, "Well, I guess you're just not going to get hired." And she didn't actually get the job. It was a job for NASA, I think.
Oh man,
But I mean,
that's why you
they're
don't link your name
like
to it.
they're going out there and they're getting these big jobs and they're affording their hobbies, habits,
Hobbies, all accounts.
hobbies. Yeah,
At least with the ones who
I
don't
can't.
go too far with their love.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, I think we spoke about it in another podcast.
Yeah.
Not all furries are inherently bad. Hell, I'm in a couple of servers with some, and they're just regular ass people.
I mean, one of my friends were one. I've met some like, and I even was in a class where a girl did a whole like a case study on like trying to be a furry, and she's like, I actually made a ton of friends.
Yeah,
I've never been in that community.
it's a fan base. Well, fan base. Can I call it a fan base?
Community.
Community? Yeah, that's the word. I mean, it's a whole community. Uh, I try. I think it was a case of me having good intentions, but having a really bad take on it. But I had made a statement a while back saying this, like, it's not really much different from the anime community because they have fan creations and they are a community and they still like doing what they do. You have cringy ones in there, but those are the ones that people tend to focus on instead of the regular community, which is just regular people enjoying the thing. And this guy called me out. I was like, well, yeah, well, regular communities don't like do what they did at Rainbow Con, which you don't want to know what they
Rain
did.
first.
Rain First, that's the one. Jesus
Well,
Christ.
that was actually more on the fault of the group because they pretty much let the people who probably got banned from every other furry convention for what they do.
I I worked at anime conventions and I've seen how cringy anime fans can get.
And I almost feel like there probably is an anime convention that probably have gotten as bad as Rainforest. Like you can't just act like there's not only one.
Oh
Like
no, there have been some really bad ones. Some I wasn't present for because I was volunteering at the time, so I just didn't manage to do all of them. But there's some of them that I've heard that some really messed up stuff's happened at them. I'm like, God damn.
yeah, so you can't just
So
say, "Oh, well, Rainforest." That's an example of like how bad they can be. I'm like, not really. Like anime community is still bad. The anime community
yeah,
still has issues. Like they're a little bit more quiet about it, but I think that's because everyone jumps to furries first before the anime community. And a lot of
yeah.
people in anime community probably are not like not accepting, but don't want to always just talk about only them, only their
Furries are
issues.
the furries are the broader target.
They're the punching bags.
They're easy to shoot.
And there are people who literally joke about doing that, and I'm like, that's messed up. That's not funny.
Oh yeah, I've seen those. Actually shooting. Like, oh, let me go to a con and just shoot it up because they're weird.
And I'm like, that's not funny.
Okay.
What's the punchline? There's no punchline. You're just saying I want to murder these people for just doing this thing.
Send a clip of the Joker movie. Okay, what's the punchline?
Like there was an artist I
That's funny.
follow. I liked their art, but I immediately followed them when they made a shirt of, oh, I can't remember. It was like it was like saying something I do to Hitler and something to do to furries. Which one would I kill or something? And it's like, oh, I will kill Hitler, but then it said I'll do something worse to the furry. Like I can't remember what it said it would do to the furry, and I'm like, that's the instant unfollow for me because I'm not gonna follow someone who really thinks it's funny to say I would do something horrible to. I would put someone on the same level as Hitler on a shirt, and I'm like, that's stupid. That
Okay,
doesn't. You're not funny. You're not
I
funny at
make
all.
I make edgy jokes too, but there are as stupid as this may sound, there is a such thing as tasteful edgy jokes. When you add
Oh no,
Hitler in
you're
the
right.
equation, it's just really when you add Hitler like or slavery, it's just like come on, you're scraping the bottom of the
Like
barrel.
even
Come
then,
on,
you have to at least make it funny.
make it funny, yeah.
You gotta make it
Like you
in a
don't
way
want
where it's funny, but I think like I said, putting Hitler and furry in the furry community on the same level, it's like, what is the punchline? That's not funny at all.
it's not. It's the low hanging fruit that they grab for to get people to kind of laugh at them.
Oh no, they got likes. They got a lot of likes for that. A lot of
Uh,
retweets. And as someone who would probably want to say something, I'm like, I don't want to deal with your community. Like, that's my one fear when it comes to Twitter. It's like the amount of time I see stuff where I want to say something, I'm like, I don't want to deal with your followers or you trying to clap back. I don't feel like dealing with that.
Have you ever had an artist that you kind of liked, but their community is very toxic?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, that's why I don't talk to one. That's why I don't jump in when the servers ran in anymore. We've talked about it before.
Oh yeah.
I miss him. I hope he's doing okay.
There's yeah, there was one server I got in that it was just that very thing. The artists, I like the artists' work, but their community was just horrible.
I know I've
I
already.
even tried.
Hmm?
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna
What were you
say
saying?
I already know talked about this one on, I think one of our podcast episodes, and I haven't even told you about it. The art, like the Twitter, like the person I was in who server was like not fun because it was very obvious that it was a click, by a click as in with the mods and the people who suck up to the mods, or the people who were already friends with the mods. Because like I said, when someone was trying to say you should skip JoJo parts, a lot of people were like, no, you shouldn't skip JoJo parts. They're all important to the overall story. And they're like, it was very obvious when he said, where do all you people come from? And the way he wrote it, it was very obvious. Like he did not like the fact people were not agreeing with him and his friends. And then there was a time where a guy was saying a hard R constantly. And I was like, dude, that's not
Uh,
funny. Like, why are you saying that? It's not really a punchline. He's like, it was my stick. And they're just like, yeah, we just let him do it. And that was
oh
a mod
yeah,
telling me that.
you did tell me that. That whole story where the guy was just like, "It's my stick just to say the hard R," because,
I don't care
like,
if you're
how
black. Like
lame do
that's
you have to
I
be
don't even care if
to?
you're black. That's not funny. It's just you being like thinking you're funny for saying it.
Yeah, how lame do you have to be for that to be your stick of all things?
I don't know. And I left the server after that because I'm like, I'm not dealing with that. Like,
Oh
but what
gosh.
you gonna say, Reeps? What you gonna say before like mine?
No, I was in a server where there was I really did like the artist stuff, but I didn't know that the artist was apparently like not very active in that server. Uh but every time I would post something, I would just get all these negative comments. It wasn't it was just negative. Where it could be something like a meme, or if I posted art, and I would just get like just this really shitty comment about something that I either did wrong or something that just was stupid. I think the tipping point was this person who joined in. I sent an old picture of a meme, and they were just like, "Oh, this person's hair is stupid. Why would you post this? You must be stupid too for thinking that this is funny." I'm like, Jesus Christ, what the hell's wrong with this person? And it was like nothing was ever really like done. And then it just kept happening to the point where I just like eventually left, and I ended up, stupid me, I ended up actually coming back months later to the same server, and they were all it was literally like dumbed down to them just hard R Hitler jokes and all this other stuff, and I'm just like, come on, man, this shit's not even funny anymore. It's not like not, oh, I'm offended. No, it's not that. It's just like it's just not funny anymore. Like y'all are still going on with this even now. Honestly, I think it's just like kids that are just saying the worst thing that they could think of
It's
just because they think they
kids.
can.
Like there's kids, and then there's people like, I don't know how to word this without coming off like without it coming off as like mean spirited or rude. People with certain disorders that don't really aren't the best sometimes when it comes to social interaction, and usually that leads to them being pieces of shit sometimes.
Yeah. I'm thinking of a certain R word, but I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah, yeah, but
But yeah,
it,
I get what you're saying.
yeah, it's just like
It's bad.
it's it's not fun when you join servers like that. Like even in I'm in a lot of servers where I just don't interact because I don't know, it just feels like there's a click. It's like, or in some cases, at least in the servers we're in, Reef, like I don't join a lot of them because when they do voice chat, there's just too many people for me mentally. It's like, no, it's too many. I can't handle that.
Oh yeah. No, I don't blame you. I get overwhelmed
Like
when you
when
get
it,
so many people talking.
yeah,
Yeah.
when it's like sometimes just me, you, or Feline, like I like those situations, or at least when it's like a 4 or 5 of us talking, it's like we can at least keep all in the same kind of subject, And if we're all focusing on like one thing, that really helps too. Like
Oh,
we're
unless you're a certain somebody we're thinking of that just loves to talk about Monster Hunter and somehow derails the conversation to
eh,
Monster Hunter.
I let him have his thing. I'm like he's
I love
passionate.
him to
Just
death,
let
though.
him.
I love him to death, but Jesus Christ, the fucking Monster Hunter discussion.
Hey man, I wish I was that dedicated to the
Yeah,
series. I'm dedicated to the series, but not to that degree, and I give him all the credit for it.
it starts to make you feel like oh damn, what do I have going? I'm not that dedicated to anything
The
apparently.
closest thing I'm dedicated to is Dragon Ball, and that's it.
Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z?
In general, Dragon Ball. I'm
Oh
dedicated to the whole franchise itself.
yeah.
I don't play the phone games though because I don't like playing phone games.
How many phones games do they have at this point?
There's probably more than I think, but there's only two that are really popular, which is Dokkan Battle and then Dragon Ball Legends. I'm not sure if there's any other ones, but those are the main two. Those make the most money from the mobile market.
I really hope. I'm probably gonna sound like an asshole, but I really hope phone games don't succeed. I really don't want phone games to get any more popular than where they're at right now.
I don't mind them. I just don't like the fact that people that like a lot of at least when it comes to like anime and stuff like that they put a lot of their stuff on there. And I'm like, can we actually get a real video game, please? Like for console players, PC players, and not just the phone game people, because your game will make some money if you put it. If like console players play some games, like
Why don't they? I would much rather because there's some very interesting phone games that I would play, like Dissidia. There's a Dissidia game on the phone that's a turn-based, but it still has like the break mechanics and everything.
yeah,
And I thought that was really cool, but it's a free-to-play phone game, so they've pretty much taken out a lot of the content for like in favor for the whole paid mechanics, which
opera.
come on.
Actually, I think another type of Clem's talked about it, and I think he said that's actually not too bad with that one.
It's fun. It is fun. I'm a big Dissidia fan.
Yeah.
I guess by extension, no, I get it backwards. I'm a big Final Fantasy fan, but by extension, I love Dissidia too. But the the cell phone games just like
Like, yeah, I
just
do
a
get what you're
grindy
saying.
mess.
I mean, I sometimes do like it when they eventually do port those cell phone games over to PC. Like, you eventually be able to play them on at least your PC, at least.
I'd much rather just play the game, you know. Like I'd buy the game. Don't just give me the money. I'll buy the game. I just don't want to feel like I have to constantly keep spending money on it.
Yeah.
You know?
Or, like, in some games cases, like, you ran out of things, so you have to wait a whole day before you can play again.
Yeah.
Or a few hours. And I'm like, I don't want to wait a few hours just to keep playing my game. But, what
Oh
was it?
yeah.
Uh,
Genshin Impact did that too. When I tried to play that game, it's like
Mobile?
you get no, not mobile, just free to play game.
I didn't know the
Uh
PC version did that. I thought they didn't. I thought neither version really did it.
Genshin Genshin Impact?
Yeah, no one brought up that issue. Like even people, my friends playing it, never brought up that issue.
You start off with a lot of, I mean, it's the same game, I thought. You start off with you start off with getting a lot of stuff, but once you, at least for the time I did, I started playing the game before the update where they introduced the whole mountain region, the ice mountain region.
Yeah.
But I played up to that point, and then I just hit a wall. It was just like, well, if you wanna, you're gonna have to wait for the next part of the story to come out. So you're gonna have to just grind for the. If you want to get better weapons, you're gonna either have to pay for them or you're gonna have to grind for them. And the way that the dungeons work is the dungeons had a currency. Well, you had an over like bearing currency, which you had the in-game currency and you had the currency like the special currency for the dungeons. And in order to enter some of the dungeons, you needed to use some of that currency, which before they didn't even reset. Apparently they added an update where it resets after every like I think hour or so. But the dungeons, in order to even enter the dungeons, you would need to pay like 20 resin is what it was called. So yeah, I mean, you were limited. You were limited on how much resin you could actually use for each dungeon, which was just so dumb. And that's not the only game that's done this. I mean, shoot, I've been streaming Lost Ark this entire time, and I think I've hit that content wall with this game, where in order to progress the main story, you need to meet like a certain armor rank, and it's you just have to grind. You have to grind for it. You have to grind to the point of reaching that armor rank, and there's other steps involved into increasing that. And it's just like, man, that's it's a smooth run until you hit that wall.
I usually never
I
mind
think,
grinding unless I like if it's fun in the sense where it's just like the gameplay is fun. I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. I don't mind grinding. I'll just put some music on or listen to a YouTube video while I do this. But then there's
yeah,
the grind what you're talking about. And I'm like, that's not fun.
the
Because there's two different walls. There's wall in the sense of this is a the grind is to the point where oh this is gonna take me forever, and then there's like oh level wall. Okay, I just need to level up some more.
there's the way this one works is it gives you like certain jewels, and the once you hit like level 50, the level just kind of stops. You can reach I think up to level 60, but it's it almost feels impossible. It's easy to get through level 50, but once you hit level 50, I guess that's just considered in game. So your main grind is going to be to get jewels to hone your armor to increase your armor rating. In order to progress the story, you need a certain armor rating to do that. So when you get these jewels, you get these jewels through certain dungeons and such to then use those jewels to hone your gear. Uh, but each time the further you hone your gear, the lower the percentage of honing your gear to perfection becomes. So you can actually fail a honing of your gear and you will lose all of the jewels that you spent for it, so you have to grind some more. Currently, I'm at a 60% chance of honing my gear, so I have a 60% chance for it to being perfected, so my armor rank will increase, but I also have a 40% chance of it failing. And if it fails, then I need to grind for all those jewels again. That's not fun. That's not very fun. Yeah,
Yeah, man. I was
but
just
I've
like,
been doing it.
yeah.
I've been doing it. I guess like you say, just play some music or do things. Just I guess doing other things or talking with friends makes it easier because you're not really focused on it.
It helps speeds up the time in a way. It's like
Yeah,
you think it's not that long, but once you're doing something else, like something else is kind of distracting you, it's like, oh, okay, it didn't take me that long.
yeah. Something with these free to play games. There is one thing I did want to talk about.
Hmm.
Uh, just a little mini rant with some of the people I've talked about with there are some like friends that I've had that just apparently despise anything Korean.
What?
Yeah, not in the sense that you might be thinking, like they hate Korean people. Just I don't think it's that. I just think that they despise like Korean based games. I think from what I remember, well, it's not just Korea. It's other like I think it's China, Japan, anything basically any sort of MMO that's free to play. And just trying to get them into it is just like a damn chore. It's just like, oh well, I don't. I remember one guy literally telling me outright, just like, I don't play Korean shit. I'm like, damn, dude, that's
Yeah.
pretty messed up.
Well, here's the thing with that type of wording, you're like, even for me, I'm like, are you mean the game, right? You know,
You mean
you're not.
you don't hate Koreans?
Because I mean, even then, I have to think. I'm like,
It's yeah.
because it gets
And
you
you try
thinking, and
to
I'm like, you really should have worded that better.
yeah, but it's I guess it's a demeanor that I find very annoying because it's the kind of demeanor where it's you ever talk to a person where it seems like they're being like they're kind of meeting you halfway, but they're also taking jabs while they're doing it.
Yes.
Like, oh, well, it's okay if like it's not a bad game. It's okay if you like grindy rage fest that's like really terrible. Like, okay, I didn't need all that. I didn't need you to I didn't need you to say all that. Or to have a really bad take on something that it's like you either gotta play it to understand that it's a shitty take, or you just I guess just don't play it and don't say anything about it. I've been coming into contact with a lot of people like that, just completely shitting on everything. Like what?
Yeah, that's why I
You play?
mostly keep to myself now.
Yeah, you. Yeah, it's kind of hard because like trying to be. I've talked to a good number, and a lot of them are streamers. I've talked to a good number of streamers that it just feels like a lot of them just play the same kinds of games, you know. Notably, a lot of them that like generate a lot of views. And I wonder if it's actually because they enjoy the games that they play, or if it's just because that they just generate a lot of views.
Although a lot of it is, I know I shouldn't say a lot of it, but there's the people who do have, they just want views, and there's people who are generally, no, I just want to play this game. Like I
A
think
lot
I'm
of them,
correct. Maximilian was. I think Maximilian has talked about how he was kind of scared to really change up because that is the thing. Even with people, like they stick to just playing the games people like because they're like, if I leave, the view count's gonna go, and I'm not gonna make any money anymore. And I'm just like, no, give it a shot. You need to give it a shot. If you don't, you're gonna just eventually start hating your job, hating what you're doing.
yeah. I feel like that's been a big thing with me. It's just I could play a lot of the big games. Shit. I I don't like Apex Legends, but I could play Apex Legends. I could play Final Fantasy 14, but I don't like those games. But those are the games that it seems like people get the most views for. And then you go and then you see it's very saturated with streamers all playing those games. And you're like, is it really worth it at that point? You know, is it really worth a few more viewers if you're just gonna play a game that you hate? And I've talked to another like a girl who she streams. I'm not gonna mention her by name, but she was saying that she was afraid to try different like games. Like there's certain uh ROMs that she wanted to play, and she's just like, I've been playing this one game for so long, I don't really know if I switch to this one ROM that's very obscure, would I just lose people? And honestly, I don't really know what to tell her.
I
I'm
mean,
like,
honestly, I would tell her, yeah, you're gonna lose people, but you'll probably gain some people, and even then, the people who stay are people who genuinely enjoy you for you.
yeah,
Like it's like I'm sorry, but no matter what, it's you're gonna lose people. It's gonna happen, but you'll hopefully, but more than likely, if you have a good personality, like you're interesting, people will stick to you. People There'll be a good amount of people who still stay, and new people will start coming when they start seeing the game you're playing. Cause they're like, oh, what? I've never seen this. This is interesting.
I'm not gonna lie, I've done that too. Have you ever come across like a channel where they talked about a game you never heard of and it just actually kind of struck a note?
Actually, not really. I think everything I've actually at least in the sense of actually no, I forgot that's Yakuza. I've never watched any. I did Yakuza's what I forgot that I watched them play Yakuza.
Shit. Uh, Pyro Cynical was the one that introduced me to life. What was it? Something in Vivo, Lost in Vivo.
Hmm. I don't even know what you're talking about.
You don't know Pyro Cynical?
No, I know Pirate Cynical is. I just don't know the game we're talking about.
Oh yeah, he did a hour-long video talking about Lost in Vivo. God, what is that guy doing these days?
Mm. He's probably
Yeah.
fine. But
Holy.
yeah, I mean, I would just tell her like, hey, you're gonna lose those views, but but you're probably more than likely gotta gain new people, and and there are people gonna stay. I mean, as long as you're not one of those people. I mean, I shouldn't say as long, but like, I would ask, does she at least have another job on the side, or just a full time thing for her?
Yeah.
Yes, the West question. He just said yeah.
No, 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 no. I mean, no. Have a full time job on the side. Basically,
Yeah,
don't rely on Twitch.
which is the thing I never understand. I really never. I don't think I'm ever gonna get is how people do rely on YouTube or Twitch, and I'm like, I couldn't like. Let's say like my podcast kicks off, like I'm like averaging like let's say like 1,000 views. I would still have a job. I'm still not gonna just be a Twitch streamer forever. I'm like, no, because
Because it's not consistent. Yeah.
If Twitch just because it could be any day, it could be tomorrow. Twitch could just explode. Twitch offices just mess up. Like they're finally like we can't handle the fact that there's these people, these thought streamers on here, and then we have these simps who work here who are just letting it happen while we're shutting all of Twitch down.
Yeah.
It could just happen tomorrow. Like it could just happen at any point. And I'm just like, your whole career just fucking died. Holy shit.
Just like that. It's
And
not a stable job.
and unless you were at the beginning of Twitch or at least a YouTuber who joined later on, you might be effed. Because
Yeah.
everyone's gonna move back to YouTube and it might be hard for you to keep that up.
Getting like shoot.
At
I would
the
only say consider it past like the what 100K mark. But even then, I mean they're shoot, who was his name? Some Ordinary Gamers.
yeah,
You've heard of him?
yeah.
Uh where he uh pretty much had stated he's like I have over like a million something followers on Twitch, but I'm not gonna quit my job as like a IT security guy. I'm still getting paid a lot at this job, but I'm not gonna quit it. He's like, because you never know when things will just go belly up.
And I never
But
get that.
apparently, some people don't get that.
Like
It's like nothing's permanent. You don't really know when things are gonna go down the drain. It's good to always have a plan B.
like even then I say the scariest thing that these guys need to understand is that there could just be a random day where all the game publishers and publishers decide to be like, you cannot stream our games anymore. Twitch dies instantly, like the snap of a finger.
Didn't Nintendo try to do that whole creators program where it was just like, well, we need a percentage of the profits that you make from our
I
games,
think it
like
was
streaming our
either
games?
that or I think it was that, but also they really were just cutting down anyone who was streaming.
Yeah, they were sending out like cease and desist, like
It took, I think,
what?
it took a while. I think it took like a. I don't think it was even a year. I think maybe 2 years, maybe 2, 3 years before they finally chilled out. And it was kind of random too with it too. They were just like, you could stream it. You're never sure if Nintendo's gonna get you that day or not.
I don't understand how they're still like so behind the times when it
I
comes to stuff like that.
I still don't get how so many people just kind of let them go like that. Because I know people always get on PlayStation, but I'm like, have you seen Nintendo?
People get on PlayStation and Microsoft, but they give Nintendo a pass for basically screwing them over in a lot of
Like
regards.
there are people who do jump down Nintendo's throat, which is good, but at the same time, it's just like I see
Well,
that.
they're usually like they usually hate them anyway, don't they?
Yeah, I never like. I know baffling to me was like when because you know the Mario Kart thing, right? Mario Kart 8, because everyone was like, oh, Mario Kart 9 is gonna come out. Mario Kart 9 is gonna come out, and they're like, oh, here's a whole bunch of tracks from old games that we made now and the new one, and we're selling it for what was it like $25? And I'm like,
What?
People are not gonna pay for this. People paid for. Like when I saw a lot of people react saying, I reacted negatively. I'm like, no, make a new Mario Kart. No, why are you gonna just make a whole bunch of new tracks? All these tracks should just be in the new Mario Kart, not in the one that's been out for a long time now.
I tell you what their secret is. We have a limited number of them, so get them while they're hot, and people just eat that shit up.
You're all right. Because it's like, what's the term I learned? It's like missing out kind of thing. It's the mentality of like you're missing out on something.
Oh my god.
I can't remember, but like that, the fact I saw people just like people who I would think this is a negative, be like, oh no, good. Oh, I can't wait to play this. I'm like, no, no, it's not good. No, we need. There needs to be a new game.
There was the same thing with the amiibos. I really wish the amiibos would die because
I
the
think they
whole
kind of
limited
did.
number. The whole I like the idea kind of,
Yeah.
but the whole like limited number thing was just so infuriating.
And it's like
I
worse when they kind of put certain things behind it. It goes be like, oh, that's not too bad. Like whatever, I don't need that too. Wait, that kind of adds more to the gameplay. What the fuck? Like why would you
The
cut?
hard mode of Samus Returns,
Yeah,
they locked that behind an amiibo wall, and I hated that. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And then you go online, and they're basically sold out. The only way you could actually get it is like through some kind of like what do you call those? Those people,
scalpers.
people with scalpers, and they're charging like 18 times the price of the normal. It's just ridiculous.
Because there are people who
I
will buy
never
it.
like that. And people fucking support, like, they defend that shit. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Okay, that's $22. I'm trying to look up the price, but it's hard to do that when it's in pounds, and I'm like, I can't read pounds.
It drove me insane. I hated it. Did you know that, that I think they had taken away Smash this year for Evo? Or they're not doing one?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they eventually they. I think I'm not sure. Wait, yeah, I don't think Smash is on this year, but I knew they got rid of Melee, and a lot of people were mad when Melee was gone. But I'm like, Melee was gone because of the fact of no one likes carrying a CRT TV around. But continue what you were saying. I just remember that tangent.
My only guess, maybe I'm just being a cynical asshole about this. My guess was immediately that they just didn't want to, because I mean they've done this before where they just
They didn't want to
took
deal
the
with the
thing out.
Nintendo problem.
They didn't want to deal with like tournaments or something, so
Oh,
they would remove it or they would
oh
they would
yeah, I know what you're talking about
the
now.
people trying to do a tournament where a person would, I think they were providing for charity even,
I
where
know. Yeah,
the
that's why I said
person
the
would,
Nintendo problem because
yeah,
Nintendo holds a lot of things back for people.
yeah, and they just completely shut it down.
Oh, I was right. It was $25 with tax technically, but it's like $24.99 with the Mario Kart expansion for
Jesus.
tracks. And I'm like, these are tracks. This shouldn't be $25.
What you could just get on like YouTube or something, look up those tracks there. I mean, you don't need to.
Like I don't care what anyone says. That's just it's like and there's only one, two, three, four, 8 tracks for 25
You,
bucks, and I'm like, that's too much money.
yeah,
Wait, let me reread this before someone can gets mad at me before I'm wrong. If it's 25 bucks for like the whole pack, that's good. But if it's 25 bucks just for each pack, wait, I think it is actually Rema. I might be wrong. Give me a second. You keep talking. I'm just gonna look
it's
at this real
actually
quick.
$2,500.
Wait, okay, Mario Kart DX Port Course Pass price. Okay, the price in general is 25 bucks. Okay. I still think it's too much in my opinion, but whatever. Cuz
It's
that
just tracks, isn't it?
yeah, it's just tracks. It's be like one, let me see. There's like gonna be 6 waves, so each track for each 6 waves, and I'm just like the amount that's 6 waves. So and each one has 8 tracks. So I'm just like, why not just make a new game at that point? Because that's a lot of tracks. And why waste it on like a game that's already kind of old now?
Oh.
And
Ooh.
and people are paying for it, so I'm like, well, Nintendo's getting their money.
Their fans are dedicated and rich, uh, and very, very strongly for them. If they're being screwed over.
Like, I mean, even then, I see people who are struggling for 'em still disagree with their tactics, but I'm just like, but they'll pay for stuff like this, and I'm just like, but you disagree with one tactic, but you're okay with a tactic that's almost similar. It's like,
Because yeah, they just pick and choose, I guess.
if it's a series they like, they're fine with it. If it's a series they don't, then they care.
But God forbid Sony or Microsoft do a similar thing. They just are immediately in the front lines with pitchforks.
That's why I say the console war dot is stupid and die and should die because every even PC, no one, all of them are greedy. All of them do stupid stuff.
Are people still like on that?
Yeah. Why do you think I
Wow.
still like I? Hell, man, I took forever to even give PC gaming a chance because of how annoying PC people were.
Oh yeah, they're stupid. I can't stand them.
Because I'm just like, dude, not everyone wants the constant. Like, there's people who don't mind probably buying a full on gaming computer, but it costs a lot of money, and it also costs a lot of money to build.
Especially with scalpers nowadays
And even
that are
then, you're scared of like someone building a computer and they could mess it up.
yeah.
And
For
even
me, building a computer is just like if you understand how it's built, it's literally just like snapping in parts, like a like building Legos. But if you're mine, I can't really. Mine came pre-built, but I've pretty much redid like everything in it. I've exchanged all the parts out for like better parts. I've upgraded basically. But for a person who's building from scratch, I would say just like go to somebody who could do that.
even
I
then,
mean,
that brings up my point of the fact that at least with consoles, you don't have to worry about kind of like being like, oh well, this part's kind of outdated. Need to open it up and put the new part in. At least we like,
yeah,
which a lot of people don't get is like why probably a lot of people stick to console gaming. And yeah, there might be a new like yeah, I have the PS5. Couple of years later, like probably back in probably 2025, 2027, they'll release the PlayStation 5 Pro or something. At least I still have mine and it'll still work fine. Because I had the PS4 when the PS4 Pro came out, and my PS4 still worked fine.
the with consoles, everything is integrated. So I think one of the big things with PC is just getting like I guess the only thing you'd really have to worry about if you have good RAM and everything, is just upgrading your processor and your graphics card. Um, but with the price that graphics cards are nowadays, if you want a pretty decent one to match up with console, because consoles they have their like I said they have their own integrated. They have their own. They also have their own like models of graphics cards too. That I guess process things their own way. Like Sony has its own. What was it? With PS4, I think it was called the Jaguar or something. Some kind of specific model for them, and it was integrated with the PS4s, and they upgraded it. But for a PC to match those kinds of specs, as well as like having the processing power to keep those sort of the I guess a stable 60 frames per second, you'd spend around like $1,000 something. Well, consoles are a lot cheaper. Uh, the only real benefit to PC gaming is just that you could mod stuff easier, and you can emulate, and you can like is like a little bit more customization options. But like now, since scalpers have become a lot more prevalent, all the parts, all the PC parts have gone up significantly in price. You'd be better off just getting a console
And even
because
then, it's hard to get a console.
yeah, that's another thing. They're buying up the freaking PS5s and the
My
Xbox.
PS5 I got was
Oh,
the most luckiest thing.
yeah, they're buying up everything. I even heard that they're trying to buy up the Switches now. But I guess Nintendo has some sort of thing in place with their shops where you can't just buy like 100 Switches in bulk. I don't know how they haven't bought them all up, but I have heard that it is becoming a slow problem with Switches.
Like if I'm
The
correct, I think
PS5.
even people are trying to really bring it more into like a law to it because they're like, okay, this is actually a real issue. I
Yeah,
think it was UK. I think it was the UK trying to actually make a law for that.
it was it's a real problem. And it's one of the reasons hell, it's one of the reasons why I haven't actually upgraded the graphics card is because it's just I want to upgrade it, but they've just been like so expensive. Trying to get a graphics card these days is almost the equivalent of literally just buying a PS5. And that's the graphics card itself. That's not with any other parts. So, yeah, it, the consoles, at least for the time being, are cheaper, and they offer the same specs as a pretty decent PC. So that's the better bet right now.
Like I
Back
don't
then,
mind.
people would argue against it. I guess the stupid master PC master race people would argue against it. But I mean, now you can't really defend it. You really can't. And honestly, who really gives a damn? Like you said earlier, it's like who really gives a damn about the Sony and console, Sony and Microsoft thing? You
Like
know?
I don't care what console you play on. At least if you're having fun, you're having fun. Like if you prefer this, you prefer it. Like I've
Yeah.
tried PC gaming. Like I tried keyboard and mouse, and I'm like, I can't. I legitimately cannot do it. It's just too much.
It takes some getting used to. Uh, I speak from experience. I didn't start playing PC games until like my what mid 20s because I and this is coming from like playing console games my entire life. So yeah, it takes some getting used to. It's not something you're just gonna get. Uh, I think the game that kind of broke me into it when I my very first FPS was Quake Champions.
I've never. I've heard of Quake, but I've never heard. Actually, no, I've heard of that. I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
Quake Champions. That was the one. But once you get used to it, you're not gonna want to go back. At least for me, I wasn't. But once you get used to keyboard and mouse for shooters, let me clarify for shooters. Now I still play some like hack and slash games with controller because with with keyboard and mouse, it just feels weird.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I
But
just stick to what I get, man. I've tried. I've tried. It's just not for me. Even with shooters, I'm like, I'm already not that much into shooters as I used to be. So, but then that's definitely out for me. Yeah,
oh man, shooters don't age very well, unfortunately. In terms of like the multiplayer, they don't seem to age very well. It's like the older they get, the worse they get. You get all these damn hackers that join in. Uh, People start figuring out ways past the well, they already know ways around the coding of the game, but as the game gets older, the developers eventually just, I guess, just stop caring.
Because it's just too
So
much, man.
when they stop caring, they just, you get a bunch of hackers that start getting in, and that's eventually what just kills the game. It's a crappy cycle, but it's happened a lot.
Reeves, I think it's time to end it because it's like late for me now.
Oh yeah, not
All right,
if you want, I can ramble about shooters like all day.
we'll do another one. We'll do another episode at some point, maybe next month, probably next month at most. Okay. Well, thanks for coming on
Yeah.
this time, Reeves. You want to plug anything? Got anything to plug?
Uh, no, not really. I mean, my Twitter, I'm working on a mini comic, but it's NSFW, so I don't know if you want to really show that
Yeah.
or talk about that. But yeah, my Twitter, it's Repu. I've changed my name. It is literally just, well, my it's at NiceReaps on Twitter. But I just go by the term Repu because it sounds goofy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm in this stream. Thanks for coming on again, and thanks for people showing up. Goodbye.
Yeah.